Coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell.
And we are live, and we're back. Took the last weekend off. I did end up doing a stream last weekend over on Grande's channel. It was a fantasy football stream, so I didn't bother. I didn't figure many people would be interested, but it was just an opportunity to go hang out with Grande for a couple hours and talk fantasy football. But how's everybody doing? Like I said, it's been a little bit. I feel a little rusty. I feel a little edgy. But yeah, back here Saturday night. Saturday night is main event, as they say. But let me adjust my headphones here. Hope everything's coming in all right. Let me see. Yeah. How you guys been past couple weeks? We've been working. I've been doing. I haven't done too many live streams. Well, I haven't done a live stream since the last one. Go figure. Haven't done a live stream since we did the Knight Riders fan commentary a couple weekends ago. That was a lot of fun. It was cool having Cyan on. It was always great having Matt, and Will, and Synth, and Michelle on. Really fun commentary. Sure. Everything's coming in all right on my end here. But yeah, you're really fun commentary. Really interesting. I've been, like I said, I've been kind of a Knight Riders kick, and a little bit of a Donald Rubinstein kick here lately, and that's kind of what brings us to our main topic tonight. Just checking settings here before I really dig in and get started and start yapping. Do a little speed test here, but yeah, I've been kind of on a Donald Rubinstein kick here lately, and tonight I wanted to go through Donald Rubinstein. Came out a few years back, and it's all music based off of, inspired by the Dawn of the Dead score that he was originally supposed to do, which we'll get into. Yeah, I mean, I've listened to it a little bit. I haven't really dug in all the way. I've had this for a while, but I've only kind of dabbled and listened to it a little bit and was just kind of like, I didn't really know how to feel about it, because it's definitely not Goblin. It's definitely a lot different than, Martin stuff, his Knight Rider stuff, even his Bruiser stuff. But I mean, you can definitely tell. Like, there's one track on this I really want to talk about and get into, and I may have done something with this track that I'll show you guys here a little later on. But there's one track on here. It's track 8. It's just titled "Music for Chamber Orchestra." It actually kind of works, and it's kind of, because I mean, it is kind of right in the middle of his score for Martin and his score for Knight Riders, and you can definitely hear it. It sounds like right in the middle of that period. It's a little Martin, it's a little Knight Riders ish. I kind of dig it. So, but yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm actually going to play some tracks on here tonight from this. So any of you guys that have ever wondered what would Dawn of the Dead sounded like with a Donald Rubinstein score, you're gonna find out tonight, and we'll discuss it. Is it better than Goblin? I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there that thinks it's better than Goblin, or I don't know. But we shall see. Let me see here. I guess we're all right. If I sound shitty in the chat, or if I sound shitty, let me know in the chat, guys. But yeah, let me hit the chat here real quick. Somewhere around here. Sorry, like I said, I'm a little rusty. I took last weekend off. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, and I am struggling. Not really struggling. It's really not that bad, but I've decided to quit smoking finally. And I hate just putting that out there and being like, oh yeah, look at me, but yeah, this is kind of my first full day without a cigarette. I've kind of been weaning myself off of them over the past week or so, couple weeks really. I will say that if you're trying to stop smoking, Zen, man. Zen is a lifesaver. Because when I do get that urge, you just pop one of them suckers in, and you know, and it kind of helps you through it. It's still nicotine, so it's not great. It's still addicting and all that, but I just got, for no other reason, I got to cut back on the cigarettes. Just because they're so fucking expensive now. Like they are so expensive here in Indiana now. The price has gone up a ridiculous amount. So they were like $8, $9 a pack. They're up to like 12, 13 now. So I was like, all right, well, this is bullshit. So I had to give them up. But either way, so yeah, I'm a little jittery. Not jittery. I sound like a fucking heroin addict or something. Just trying to adjust. Because I'm so used to, because that's the thing, like when you come on here, like when I come on here and do a stream, like usually I'll have a couple of cigarettes beforehand and I'll come on. So my whole routine's kind of fucked up. So bear with me here. And then of course when I'm done, I like to hop off and have one. So, you know. Let's see. Let me get to the chat here real quick. See who all we got in here. So far, we got Synth. What's going on? I think Synth sent this the other day as soon as I posted this up. But yeah, finally heard a piece of that score. Yikes, that would have been out of place. And happy belated birthday, Synth. Synth's birthday was yesterday, I believe. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. It's definitely different. Like when I first got this CD and popped it in and listened to it, I was just like, what the fuck is this? Because you're so used to that Dawn score, either the Goblin or the Library tracks, or the Wolf, you know. Not that. I mean, like I said, on that one track, track 8, there are some hints, oddly enough, of some of the library music that George decided to use in the final film. There is like some tinges of that. I don't know if the music was written pre Dawn of the Dead, but was recorded after Dawn of the Dead. It was recorded in the CD. So all the tracks are kind of recorded in different eras. Like some of these, like some of the Dawn score, the Dawn tracks from 1987. The one I'm talking about now, the music for chamber orchestra track 8, it's 1980. So this was recorded like almost immediately after Dawn came out. So I don't know if maybe Donald heard some of the library cues that George was using and kind of maybe, I don't know, incorporated that a little bit into the production, the recording of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating. It's definitely interesting, if nothing else. But yeah. Glad you finally got to hear a little bit of it, man. We got Todd Bond is in the house. What's going on, Todd? Evening all. Evening, Todd. How are you, sir? We got Bonnie Bailey. Good to see Bonnie as always. Hi, Bonnie. Hope you're doing well. We got Stezio. What's going on, my man? Stezio Descartes says, hi, I love this song. You've probably seen the video of him performing on live TV and dying. Very sad. Yeah, the opening song, it's by a band or an artist. I don't know. I just recently kind of discovered it from that video that you're talking about where they're playing it live and he, quote unquote, dies. I don't know if he actually dies or if it's just like a performance thing. I don't know. But yeah, when I was watching it because the video, it was on YouTube. It was like Hungarian pop star dies on stage in the middle of a performance. So, you know, my morbid curiosity goes up and I'm just like, all right, I got to check this out. And so I'm watching it. As I'm watching, I'm like, oh, you know, the song's pretty good. So I kind of dug the song, but I don't know if it's an actual, he actually died on stage, if that was a weird music video or what, because it definitely looks like something from the 80s, like from overseas, like because I think he's Hungarian, but I think it was supposed to be like a German TV show or something like that. Definitely looks very 80s. But at the same time, I've tried to look it up. The song is not on Spotify, but you can actually, there are other songs by this artist on there, I think. I think it's that artist, like Zoltan D or whatever. And he's got new music. The new music of his has been released here in the past few years. So yeah, I don't know if it's an actual thing or not. But yeah, the song is a banger. Yeah, I fucking love that song. I've been listening. It's been one that's been on like constant repeat here lately. But good to see you, man. Jeff, what's going on, man? Down is up. What's up, Michael, and all my fellow zombie/Romero fans? What's going on, brother? I hope everyone is enjoying their weekend. Yeah, I had a pretty lazy weekend today. I mowed the yard and just chilled and watched a little Packers preseason football and yeah. So just chilling, trying to fight the cravings and the urges. You know what I mean? Michelle Parsons, what's going on, Michelle? How are you? The aforementioned, talking about the Knight Riders fan commentary we did a couple weekends ago. A lot of fun. That was a really fun commentary. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. I think you're finally off after like 17 days in a row of working, so congratulations on that. And of all the things you choose to do with your free time, that you've waited for weeks now, is you're sitting here watching me talk about goddamn German music videos or whatever. But hope you're doing well. Good to see you. We got Lugenbuhl Studios. I think I got that right. Lugenbuhl Studios. What's going on, man? How are you? We got Paul. Paul, you were very missed at the Knight Riders commentary, man. Would have loved to have had you, but I think you were busy with the in-laws, if I remember correctly. So you had better things to do. I understand. You had better things to do than come hang out with us and watch a fucking masterpiece like Knight Riders. So yeah, it's all forgiven. But yeah, how are you doing, man? Good to see you. Oh, speaking of Paul, by the way, I wanted to give Paul a shout out. Got this in the mail from Paul the other day, and I got it right here, right next to my computer here. But got a surprise package in the mail from my buddy Paul. I actually took the liberty to frame our Dawn hero shot in the mall that we took this year. Of course, you got Landrum, Michelle, me and Paul there. Very, very cool. I was very touched when I opened that up. So thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. And I got it right up here so I can see your beautiful faces anytime I'm doing this show. So appreciate it, my man. Appreciate it for sure. Got John Fisher. What's going on, John Fisher? This is dessert deglaze and sun higher sublimely melted. Yeah, I love those. Like I said, man, this Rubinstein stuff, it's this one track. I mean, there's definitely some like comparisons you can make to the library tracks that George used on it. So I don't know. We'll listen to it. We'll talk about it, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, Michelle's saying I sound a little glitchy. Well, I apologize. I don't know what else to do. It just is what it is. This is just the way it goes. Jeff's saying I sound okay, so I don't know. Maybe it's. We'll see. Thank you very much, Michelle. Congrats on quitting smoking. Hope it sticks. Yeah, I do too, man. Honestly, it's a lot easier, like I said, with these. I'm not just quitting cold turkey. I've been kind of weaning myself off, kind of using these instead. But the hardest part about quitting smoking, it's not even really the smoking aspect of it. Because when, like, here recently, like, when I do smoke, it's like when I'm halfway through, I'm just like, I don't even, what am I doing? Like, I don't even really want the rest of this. It's just the habit. I mean, of course, the habit, but the most ritualistic way that people smoke. Like anytime after I eat, I like to smoke, or anytime, like I said, before I come on here, I like to smoke. When I get off, I like to smoke. So it's like doing that a few times, I think, is makes it a whole lot easier. But yeah, but thank you, I appreciate that. Hope it does stick. Steven, what's going on, brother? Steven Ustrack Jr. Howdy, campers. Howdy, Steven. Good to see you, my man. Lugenbuhl Studios says, same here, but I'm on day 6. Congratulations, man. Good shit. Yeah. Like I said, I've been kind of weaning them off. So past few days, I've cut it down significantly, and then today I was just like, I ran out of cigarettes. Smoked my last one last night, and I was like, all right, starting tomorrow, no more. So hopefully it sticks, as Michelle says. But I will say, like, when you're a smoker, like, to determine and make the decision to quit, it's so, I mean, you can tell yourself all the time, you can just constantly tell yourself, like, oh, this is bad for you, like, it's not healthy, like, it could kill you, it could do this and all this other shit. But sometimes you just need that right little bit of motivation, and I think just the price is going up, and having to spend $13. I was smoking like a pack a day, so daily, $13 a day on cigarettes was just not sustainable at all. So I was just like, all right, it's just fucking time. And I'm trying to be a little more financially, I have another baby on the way, so I'm starting to think a little more financially responsible, preparing for that. So, so even more reason to fucking quit. It says, as a cancer survivor, I'm happy to hear that you quit smoking. Well, hey, congratulations, man. That's awesome. Yeah. And see, like, it's like I said, it's like I always know it. It's like that line in that Tyler Childers song, where he's talking smoking, and the girl tells him, don't you know them things. How does that fucking song go? It's a Feathered Indian song. It's like, well, my buckle makes impression. Um, yeah, I don't remember how the line goes, but it's basically like the girl he meets, like he's so in love with her that she tells him that he needs to quit smoking, and he finally decides to because everybody, like, he's like, nobody's ever, um, had that impression on me, and nobody could ever tell me to quit until you came along. So sometimes you just need the right motivation, I guess. Um, Luke Bolt Studio says Zen is OP though. I'm doing the old gum from the 90s. It's $44 for like 2 cartons at Costco. Yeah, I mean the Zen, these cans here are like $4 a piece. And there's like 15, so it's not nearly as bad. Um, uh, yeah, the old Nicorette gum. I remember that. I remember getting my dad that because my dad was a heavy smoker back in the day, and he ended up quitting like a decade ago. It's been a while. But I remember being, because I used to be like straight edge, like didn't smoke, didn't drink, do anything. And I remember always telling my dad, like, you need to quit smoking, you need to quit smoking. And one year for Father's Day, I got him fucking Nicorette gum. Like, what a gift, I was like, what a douchey gift. But he did end up quitting, so um, right around this age too. I think once you get to a certain age, it's just like when you smoke in your 20s, it's like acceptable because you're in your 20s, and it's just like, hey, you're Fonzie, whatever. When you get older, it's just like, all right, geez, after a while, you're just, it's time to get off mommy's teat. You know what I mean? Uh, Jeff says, good for you, Michael. It is really difficult over the first month or two. They cost 17 here in New York City. Yeah, I remember years ago when I first visited Chicago, and I was blown away by how much they were in Chicago. And we're talking 2010. I think they were like $10 a piece. And then back then, you could get pack of cigarettes for $4. Camel menthol is what I always smoke. But yeah, it's gotten ridiculous here. I can't imagine what it is in Chicago now if they're 12, 13 here. Um, Hell, they may be more here now because we're right next door to Illinois, and I always used to avoid Illinois when I'd buy cigarettes because Illinois cigarettes were so much more expensive. Now I think Indiana is now officially more expensive than fucking Illinois. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's crazy. Um, Lugan Bull says, grab the 2 or 4 milligram gum, dude, so you can wean off totally. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I've quit before. Like when I first heard that Jade was pregnant with Everly, I was just like, all right, I quit, and I just quit fucking cold turkey for 9 months. And then the night that she was born, I guess the adrenaline and everything. I went out and bought a pack of cigarettes and I started smoking again. I don't know why, but it was just like the night she was born. I don't know. Steven says, you're just a little out of sync. Once you get into the show, you'll feel better. Good luck and hope you succeed in quitting smoking. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm always worried about this goddamn internet, too. See Jeff saying, happy belated birthday, Synth. Absolutely. Hope you had a good one. Bonnie says, quitting is difficult. I've never been a cigarette smoker, but I've had friends and family struggle to quit. Best of luck. Thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, I've always heard that like cigarettes are like harder to quit than like heroin. Like I've heard that before from people that smoked and did heroin. Like I've done both and I've tried to quit both. And yeah, like cigarettes are hard. And I think a lot of that it's the same as like people struggle with alcohol. It's so readily available and you can get it on every corner and it's socially acceptable, which actually like cigarettes now are almost less socially acceptable than fucking weed. Like you would probably get less awkward looks if you were smoking a joint on the side of the road as opposed to a cigarette now. Yeah, thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. Jeff says the video on YouTube or Rumble. I saw it on YouTube and I just saw it like a week or so ago. So it's up there. It's just titled like Hungarian pop star eyes on stage or something like that. It's Zoltan D or something like that. It's the name of the guy. Jeff saying awesome. I guess referring to Paul's gift. Yeah, man, it's super cool. And it's so funny. I got so many photos of you guys now. I got that there. I got the picture that Matt sent of me, Matt, Will, and Synth on the roof of 247 Fort Pitt Boulevard right here. I got our stairwell photo over there. it's cool. It's a nice little. It's nice to be surrounded by that stuff. Always good because these are your friends, but you only get to see them like once, maybe twice a year. Um, because we're all fucking spread out all over the world, literally all over the world. Studio says Jeff YouTube Zoltan. He actually survived but passed in 2016. Okay, that makes total sense then, because I've tried to look it up on Spotify, and the only thing I could find was like a bunch of stuff that he had done over the past like 10, 15 years. I don't know, unless it's something completely different. I don't know. It's very confusing to me, but um, but yeah, it's a weird video, and if it is fake, like they did a really good job faking it. So, um, Uncle Bill, what's up, brother? Uncle Bill's in the house. He'll be at a Living Dead weekend this year, along with CK. So, Dead Pit invading Living Dead weekend. Very cool. What's going on, UB? UB says, I quit smoking about 4 years ago after my dad died. Hardest damn thing ever, but I just quit cold turkey. Something clicks inside you when the motivation is there. Yeah, that's true. Like, that I didn't even know you smoked fucking 4 years ago, man. I had no idea you ever smoked. But yeah, it really is. And that's usually the way with anything in life. When you quit anything, it's like eventually you just, the light switch comes on and you're just like, I'm kind of done with this. I've had moments like that with certain things over the years. Um, yeah, yeah. So hopefully that light switch stays fucking turned on. Um, yeah, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Lugan Bull says, "Congratulations on the baby, man. Your life is about to change for the best." Well, yeah, I've already got one, so this is number two, and it's another girl. So again, surrounded by nothing but women. God forbid. Um, so yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Um, what did she do? December. So yeah, by the end of December, we're trying to get her out. We're trying to get her out before the new year. So thinking December is probably going to be the time when she's here. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. John says, erroneously stated as Figment's Park and should be Figment Park by S Park. Simon Park and his orchestra also provided Sun High and TV's theme from Dutch detective series Van der Valk. I've never heard that. Titled Eye Level. Okay, interesting. Very cool. Yeah, I know. I was hoping Vulo was going to be in here tonight. He's all about this music and stuff. He's found so much library and music and shit that George used over the years in multiple films of his. Um, it's pretty cool. I was hoping he'd be in here tonight to kind of shed a little light and talk a little bit about the Dawn soundtrack. But yeah, I think he was going out tonight. I'm like, don't go out. Like, why would you go out? There's no reason to go out on a Saturday night. You get stabbed, robbed, and left for dead somewhere these days. Come on now. They got the National Guard out in the fucking streets in cities now. Um, Uncle Bill says it's so weird how things change too. I started smoking at 12, 13 years old. At that time, half the people I know smoked. I don't think any of my daughter's high school friends smoke. Yeah. I mean, you're kind of alone as a smoker these days. So it seems. I mean, there are quite a few people that still smoke, but yeah, I think the younger generation, it's all about the vaping and shit now. Like I see, teenagers all the time now sucking on those damn, looks like a giant fucking like a brick in their hand, and they're just like, I don't know, I don't get that. I'd rather just smoke cigarettes. At least that looks somewhat cool. At least you kind of look, a little James Deanish or Tom Atkins-ish. But yeah, I don't know. Kids are different these days. So yeah. Like I mentioned, I wanted to bring it up again. Last weekend, I was on a stream with Grande. We were doing a fantasy football draft, live fantasy football draft, and yeah, I just had a really good time. I just want to give Grande another shout out. If you guys are not subscribed to Grande's channel at Grande's Graveyard, definitely go check him out. He does live streams every Thursday. Topic, who knows? It could be anything from week to week. The man is just a fucking wealth of knowledge, and super entertaining, super cool guy. So go check him out at Grande's Graveyard. And I had a really good time talking about fantasy football, and then that's why I missed last weekend's stream. I was in Hopkins, Hopkinsville, doing our fantasy football draft. We do a live draft. It's the same group of guys, friends from like 15 years ago. This thing's been going on. It's the one time a year that we all get together and hang out and have a good time. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I've been kind of in fantasy football mode here lately. But yeah, everybody go check out Grande and subscribe to his channel at Grande's Graveyard. You will not be disappointed, that's for sure. Yeah, one thing I did want to bring up, I don't think Synth's in here right now, but he did mention, and I saw this this post from John Russo's Facebook page the other day, and he was messaging. He sent a message or a post. He posted on, I guess that's the terminology. Posted on John Amplis's wall about the possibility of a Midnight sequel that he's trying to get the money together to do. I guess he's going to direct, or he may have written. I don't know what the plan is with that. So yeah, I don't know. We may be seeing a Midnight 2 sequel coming soon with John Amplis, but we'll see about that. But for those of you that do not know, there actually is already a Midnight 2 from like 1993 that John Russo directed and put out. And I didn't knew nothing about it until Larry messaged me one day and was just like, "Hey man, I know you're a Midnight 2 fan. Have you, or a Midnight fan? Have you ever heard of Midnight 2?" I was like, "I didn't know such a thing existed." But they sell this on DVD from SRS Home Video. I haven't watched it yet. That's the thing. I have not watched this yet. But I think at some point, maybe middle of this week, I'll have to get with Andy on this. But I think we're going to sit down and watch Midnight 2 for a live watch along here on the channel. So I don't know if any of you guys have seen Midnight 2. I hear there's like cameos in here from Jeannie Jeffries and a few other Romero alum. So that's kind of what I watch a lot of these movies for, is just kind of point out, say, "Oh, look, it's fucking Jeannie Jeffries." So I don't know anything about this movie. It's called Midnight 2. It's Midnight 2. It's like a sex. Here it is. Sex, death, and videotape. So I guess, I don't know. But so yeah, we may be doing a Midnight 2 watch along, and I think Synth said it's actually on YouTube actually. So maybe you can type it into your YouTube search bar and find it there. Midnight 2, John Russo. But yeah, might be watching that here soon. But I don't know what else John Russo has up his sleeve, or what this Midnight sequel is going to be. But I found that kind of amusing. I was like, man, dude, like, say about Russo, like John Russo, man, but like that dude's constantly working, always constantly trying to get shit made, and he's won't stop writing, directing, like, yeah. So you got to give him credit for that, if nothing else. Like, I know people give him shit all the time about, he claims, he's the, the inventor of the modern zombie and all that, and he, and me and John have gone back and forth about, his role in Night of the Living Dead, how important he actually was to Night of the Living Dead, and all that. I mean, you can say what you want about John Russo and what he does, but you got to give him credit. I mean, the dude is how old now? Like, he's got to be in his 70s, close to 80 at this point, maybe over 80. I'm not sure. But just he won't slow down. Still creating, trying to get shit made, and you got to respect that. Jeff says, "Did you see the video of him singing?" Yeah, he posts videos of himself singing all the time. I'm not I'm not familiar with a lot of the songs or what they are. If there's songs that he wrote, I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of weird, and you kind of wonder, it's like, oh, is old Uncle John feeling okay, But yeah, he'll just post, like, on Facebook, he'll just post a video of himself, just camera, like, the boomer angle, camera right up his nose, and he's just like, he sings a line or two from a song, and it's kind of charming. It's kind of sweet, actually. Okay, there you go. John is 85. So yeah, I underestimated it. So 85, man, that dude's not slowing down. He's kind of like Tony Booba. Like, Tony Booba's right up there with him, and Tony's still just like going. You gotta respect that. But yeah, like his Facebook's kind of interesting. John Russo's Facebook's pretty entertaining. I highly recommend everybody go add him if you can. Um, Sometimes he's like trying to sell shit, and he'll just say, "I'll sell you everything I got for $1,000 or something like that." Like every now and then, he'll just throw something out there. I guess when he needs money, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll sell everything in my collection for $1,000." Um, but yeah, you gotta love John. You gotta love John. Um, all right. Well, I don't really have anything else to talk about. You guys ready to start listening to some of the tracks from Dawn Imagine? And I'll show you guys what I've been working on, what's coming up soon on the channel that has to do with this CD. Something I've been kind of playing with and working on over the past few weeks. So yeah, in 1977, Donald Rubinstein began doing some outlines, some sketches, I guess, of the score for the upcoming Dawn of the Dead. When George got the okay, the green light, as they say, to go ahead and make Dawn of the Dead from Dario and all that, he reached out to Donald Rubinstein to do the score originally. And of course, Donald Rubinstein had just come off of doing the score for Martin, which the score for Martin's fantastic. I love the score for Martin. So George originally wanted Donald Rubinstein to do the score for Dawn of the Dead. Before they started filming, this is still pre-production. Before they started filming, Dario reached out to George and said, "Hey, I want to have Goblin do the score for Zombie, for Dawn of the Dead." And so since, Dario was putting up the money and George was, it's just fine. He was like, all right, I'm probably going to use mostly library music anyway. I mean, George typically preferred to use library tracks like the DeWolf stuff more so than an actual score anyway up to that point. So I'm sure he was like, all right, look, you can do all the Goblin stuff and you can use it for your version. And then over here, because I'm sure it was probably a budgetary thing. I'm sure he wouldn't have had the money to pay both Goblin and Donald Rubinstein to do separate scores for Dawn of the Dead. So Donald got pushed aside. Well, hey, we'll bring you back for Night Riders, and you can do a fucking masterpiece. And that's what Donald would go on to do. I think Night Riders is probably considered by most Donald Rubinstein's, masterpiece in terms of film soundtracks that he did, I think, and probably most any music that he did, that's probably considered some of his best work, all the way down to I'd Rather Be a Wanderer, which is just a great acoustic song that ends that film. And so yeah, I mean, he didn't get to do Dawn of the Dead, but he did start sketching out certain outlines of songs or scores, music for Dawn of the Dead, I guess going directly off of George's script and kind of interpreting the script, because that's kind of what he did with Martin. He did the score for Martin just by reading the script, as opposed to actually seeing the film and then doing a score, which is the typical way that a movie is scored. The film is finished, and then once it's cut together, you give it to the composer and he does a score for it. But for Martin, Donald Rubinstein did his score just from reading the script. So I guess doing the same thing for Dawn of the Dead as well, just reading the script, coming up with these. And on this CD, there's actually 4 tracks on here that are related to Dawn of the Dead and his original outlines. And it said, like right here, it's based on thematic ideas written for Dawn of the Dead. So thematic ideas, that's a good way to put it. So yeah, now, like I said, some of these were recorded at different time periods, so they sound a little different. Tracks 1 through 3 and track 6 are Dawn Imagined, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, and D. And those were recorded A through C was recorded in 1987. Dawn Imagined D was recorded in 2007. So as you can see, there's a big time lapse there between when these were recorded. So the sound quality on some of these are different. These are more outlines. They're not fully realized compositions that Donald put together. It's music that he composed, but it's all performed on a keyboard. Let me see. In the liner notes, I read the liner notes earlier. Um, so I'll just tell you the specific type of keyboard, because I know like guys like Synth and Vulo are interested in this kind of stuff. InSonic ESQ1 keyboard. So all those were performed on that keyboard alone. So it does sound kind of, to me, they sound kind of full moonish. Um, just that very cheap early '90s sound. But when you hear these, try to imagine them with a full, maybe a full orchestra or a full set of a full band, like a full set of instruments there. And I think the most fully realized track, like I mentioned earlier, on this is Music for Chamber Orchestra, track number 8 on this. Like this actually sounds like a film score, and you can kind of picture it in the film, used in different ways. So that's track 8 on this. So yeah, 5 altogether. There are some other tracks on this that Donald put together over the years. 12 tracks altogether on this. It's a really cool CD. You can actually find this. I've seen this on eBay. It's fairly cheap, $10 to $15 typically. Sometimes you can find it for 20. I mean, they're not readily available. They're not all over the place, but if you look hard enough, you can find one. It's an interesting little collectible to have if you're a Don fan or a Romero fan, because it is Donald Rubinstein, and I don't know, for me as a diehard, lifelong Dawn of the Dead fan, like I'm always trying to find new ways to watch this film, if that makes any sense. Like I'm always trying to find a new way to experience it in a different light, or, maybe trying to experience it for the first time again in some weird way. Like a couple of years, well, I guess, a couple of years, I guess about 5 years ago now, because it was when, right after we had Everly, and I had like 3 weeks off from work, I actually sat down and put together an edited for TV version of Dawn of the Dead with commercials and everything. It's on my channel. It's one of the first videos that I ever posted. I think it's still up. Should be. So yeah, that was just for me. I didn't have a YouTube channel or anything, or any real reason to do it, other than the fact that I always wondered, could Dawn of the Dead play on primetime television, back around the time when it first came out. So it's set in like 1980. The commercials are all from the late 70s, early 80s, and they all have to do with something from like there's a Brown Derby commercial, and there's, they're all Pittsburgh local commercials, Iron City commercials. So I'm always looking for ways to kind of experience Dawn of the Dead in a different way, or for, experience it for the first time again. So what I've done and what I plan on doing over the next few months, and I've already started working on this, and maybe I'll give you guys a little bit of a tease of that here later. But I've taken some of the tracks and some of the music from this, and I'm editing it into the film of Dawn of the Dead. I took out the score, the original score, and I'm putting in the Donald Rubinstein score just to see, does this work? How could this work? And I'm trying to do it through George's ears, so I'm trying to manipulate it a little bit. Maybe I'll probably throw in a few library cues here and there, but I think over the next few months there's going to be an ongoing series called Dawn Reimagined, where I take parts of Dawn of the Dead and re-edit it with the Donald Rubinstein score, just to see what the hell it's like. So yeah, stick around. I might share a little bit of that with you guys here a little later. So yeah, I wanted to read this. The liner notes in this are really, really well written. Really interesting stuff. If you're interested about Donald Rubinstein and his involvement with Dawn of the Dead, and just, him and as a musician in general. But this is a letter that Donald Rubinstein wrote to the man. It's John Cruth is the name of the guy that ended up doing the liner notes for this CD. So I guess this is the letter that he sent along with the album for the guy to do the liner notes for. I just thought it was interesting. So I want to read this, and then we'll get into it. We'll start playing some of these tracks, listening to them, discussing them, and I want to get you guys' thoughts, because it's very different than what we're used to. So yeah, this is a letter from Donald Rubinstein to the guy, John Cruth, who did the liner notes on the CD. The music presented here is drawn from different times in my career. A good portion of it is based on themes I wrote when I was discussing the possibility of scoring Dawn of the Dead with the director George Romero. The Dawn theme sprang from a strongly felt artistic simpatico, nice word, that existed between George and myself, a shared understanding and dedication to the creative spirit. When I ended up not composing the score, the themes I had written began a life of their own. One set extended into a series of electronic pieces written and recorded in Roswell, New Mexico in 1987. That's Dawn Imagined A through D, or A through C, sorry. I took pleasure in developing the musical ideas, which had held up nicely in almost 10 years since I had written them. Music for Chamber Orchestra, 1981, also came out of the themes I sketched out for Dawn of the Dead. It's extrapolation. Whoa, that's a weird word. Extrapolation? Extrapolation. That's a goddamn word for it. God damn it, Donald. You and your big words. Extrapolation into a concert work became one of the most dedicated compositions of my early career. That piece was largely written in Nova Scotia, go figure. Shout out there, Michelle. Music contained on Dawn Imagine spans a period of time of about 30 years, and so there is perhaps a journey to be had. I hope you enjoy it. It speaks to that and more in his interesting and much appreciated liner notes. So there you go. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So it kind of explains, how Donald felt about this score, and he kind of liked it, So it sounds, we'll see how we feel about it. Because like I said, I've dabbled in. I haven't actually. It's like that scene in fucking High Fidelity when he's like, I haven't absorbed that one yet. I haven't quite absorbed that one yet. I haven't quite absorbed this one yet. So I think this will help. This will all kind of experience this together. Let me see here. I saw Rick pop up in here. Rick, the North Going Llama. What's going on, brother? Hey, gang. Good evening. I also saw Kenneth pop up in here. Kenneth Costa, what's going on, brother? I'm late. Score of the Dawn. This is the long-lost Donald Rubinstein score for Dawn of the Dead, so to speak. It's based on sketches and thematic ideas, quote-unquote, that he had when he was originally approached to do the score for Dawn of the Dead by George, which didn't end up happening, but we did get to hear, what he had in mind on this CD, and we're going to listen to it tonight, listen to those tracks, and discuss. So, should be fun. Since, according to Gornick, George was obligated to use a few Goblin tracks in the U.S. version of Dawn. Okay. And I've said before, George's placement of the Goblin tracks was genius and works perfectly. Yeah, I agree with that. And George always talked about he was never a big fan of, wall-to-wall scores like that, especially one that's so... Like, I love Goblin to death, but that's not the type of score that you typically hear in, especially back then, or I mean, especially now more so. You probably hear a little more back then than you do now, honestly. But that type of music, that type of score is not something you typically would hear in a like a U.S. horror film. Of course, there's the homages to a lot of Goblin stuff from like John Carpenter and the theme from Phantasm and all that, But yeah. So I understand why George didn't want to do what Dario ended up doing with the European cut, which is just Goblin wall to wall. Like there's a few non-Goblin things in there, but it's mostly just Goblin all the way through. But yeah, the way George incorporated it and the way that he kind of blended it together with some of the library stuff, I don't know. It's an interesting, like the overall soundtrack for Dawn of the Dead altogether. Like when I watched the film, it's so all over the place and it's so unorthodox. It's not what people are so like used to, especially now. That it gives it a certain charm that, like I said, like when I've been editing this music into the film, like it works in some parts, but at the same time, it's almost like it's a little too Hollywood. It's a little too bland. I don't know how to describe it. But I don't know. It kind of loses the charm that the DeWolf stuff and the Goblin stuff has in the soundtrack. Although it does sound like more of a cohesive score, in the piece that we'll play here in a little bit. But hell yeah, Nova Scotia shout out. How about that? Of all places, Nova Scotia. But yeah, so I guess without further ado, we will get this show on the road. We'll start listening and discussing Donald Rubinstein's tracks that he intentionally sketched or put together. Like I said, the first few are literally just on a keyboard, and it's just the music that he wrote pretty much. So try to imagine it, try to think of it with like if it was to be used and was fleshed out for the film, the production aspect of it, the the instrumentation of it would have expanded along with it. So try to keep that in mind when we do this. But all right. So if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and get started on this. And this is from Donald Rubinstein's Dawn Imagined. Here we go.
When the rain starts pouring down.
Oh, wrong one. You guys want to hear that real quick? I was listening to that earlier. You guys want to hear that real quick? I'll play this for you. For all you Eugene Clark fans out there, Michelle, you'll appreciate this one. So Eugene Clark has a new song out. It's called I Love You Number 4. Or number 3, actually. I forget how many I Love Yous. But I Love You Number 3 is now out there. I'll just play it for you guys. You guys let me know what you think of it. The brand new, hot off the presses hit song from Eugene Clark. Here you go. Big Daddy himself. Tell me what you think. Impromptu. This is
I love cash, baby. Thinking about you makes my wallet go.
Look at that. That's what we want from Eugene, baby. That's what we want from Big Daddy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Cash, I want cash. I need dollars near me. Do you want my pick? Do you love my contacts? Do you need my autograph? When the show starts winding down, land of the dead keeps me around. Money days, or so they say.
I think it's a hit.
Yes, I love cash always. Tell me
He does.
exactly what you want. I'll charge you 5 times more than everyone. Don't you know I want the most, the moolah? Oh, baby, it hurts me to tax your ass. I love cash. I want cash. I need cash near me, baby. Do you want me? Do you love me? Do you need me near you, baby?
Come on now.
When the rain.
All right. That's enough. Credit to fucking CK Deadfin. I was on the MWO podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's like, did you know Eugene Clark's got a new album coming out? I was like, no. He's like, yeah, the new song just dropped. You want to hear it? I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely, yeah. I'm curious. I can't believe I didn't hear about this. And he played that shit, and I fucking lost it. I was in tears. Like, yeah, it was nuts. I love that song, and it's perfect. It's the perfect Big Daddy Eugene Clark #1 hit single. Goddammit. Yeah, I thought you'd dig that one, Michelle. So smooth. Yeah, I hate to tax your ass, baby, or whatever he says in there. Yeah, Paul, for real. If that doesn't get you in the mood, nothing will. Nothing will. If that doesn't get you in the mood to drop $70 on a Eugene Clark autograph, nothing will. Nothing will. Yeah. He has a little bit of all of our cash. Although I haven't got anything from him. I haven't got anything signed from him in fucking 2000 until like since 2008 when I first saw him. And he wasn't, he was still, he hadn't figured out the game yet. So he was still like fairly reasonable, and that was like right after Land had come out. So, but he's figured it out. He's figured out the game, how to work us all. It's Interesting comments here. We got John Fisher saying George's genius was outside the box, managing to coalesce disparate themes into its own language. Yeah, yeah. And Synth always talks about it, that opening stinger and the U.S. version of Dawn of the Dead. I mean, it's like 4 or 5 tracks just kind of blended together seamlessly, and not even by the same. It's like part Goblin, part the Wolf. I mean, it's different stuff blending in there all together. And the way George did that, especially back then, I mean, there was no Pro Tools, there was no, nothing was digital. It was all, reel to reel shit. It's just brilliant, brilliant stuff. And that's why I love George the editor, not just the film editor, but the sound editor as well. Stezio saying, choosing my hill to die on. Favorite Romero soundtracks are Night of the Living Dead, Creepshow, and Day of the Dead. All right, okay. So big John Harrison fan. The Night of the Living Dead soundtrack is another one that's like perfectly pieced in. It was a lot of Carl Hardman picking this music for Night of the Living Dead, and somehow it works. A lot of that music that they used was really, it sounded kind of dated, even at the time, 68. It sounded like old, 50s sci-fi stuff, really. But the way that it was used in Night of the Living Dead and the way that it was put in there, it kind of fit it perfectly, and it kind of gave Night of the Living Dead, it sounds like an actual score, like somebody actually did that score for Night of the Living Dead. It was pretty, pretty perfectly put together. So yeah, the Night of the Living Dead score is fucking classic. And then John Harrison, I love John Harrison. I love those scores. I know some people are not so hot on the Day of the Dead score, but I've always liked that score from the first time I heard it. And Creepshow, I like the Creepshow score a lot, but I've said it before, and I kind of like Creepshow 2, Rick Wakeman's score a little more than John Harrison's. John Harrison's is perfect for the Creepshow and all that. It's perfectly done, but I think just the music aspect of it, I love the Creepshow 2 theme, maybe more so than the original. And speaking of Rick Wakeman, hold on a second. Let me breaking news here. But speaking of Rick Wakeman, though, funny story enough, we're talking about Donald Rubinstein. So George originally wanted Rick Wakeman to do the theme or the score for Night Riders before Rubinstein. He actually hired Rubinstein. He wanted Rubinstein to be in the film playing the musician in the troupe, as opposed to actually doing the full score. He wanted Rick Wakeman originally, but Donald put together some stuff for Night Riders and played it for George, and George said, wow, this is perfect. Like, well, do you want to just do the score too? And Donald said, yeah, absolutely. So that's how he ended up getting Night Riders. He was originally supposed to do the score for, or Rick Wakeman was originally supposed to do the score for that, but Donald Rubinstein swooped in and took it over and fucking, like I said, created a total masterpiece for sure. But real quick, before we get into the fun festivities of the music, got something.
You never know.
Money, money, money. Right.
Kenneth Costa, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Says, if you don't mind, say hello to my daughter, Keela Costa Monsta. What's up, Keela Costa Monsta? That's kind of a tongue twister. I like that. Keela Costa Monsta. What's up, Keela? Hope you're doing well. I like that name, too, Keela. That's a beautiful name. Love that name. But I like Keela Costa Monsta. That's a good one. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. And thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Hope you and your daughter are. Why is she watching this? What is she? It's bedtime. I don't know. How old is she? How old is she? Is it bedtime or not? Either way, what is she doing watching this? I might say some things. And I'm gonna try to watch my language now. I'm gonna have to go family friendly here. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. And you also had a comment here. says overall music for Dawn is perfect. If you don't mind, say a little more. Oh, there you go. You didn't have to, I would have done. I was just now getting to it. You didn't have to send that super chat, man. But I appreciate it anyway, my man. She might be gone by now, but I'll play it back. Okay, very cool. If you're listening to this back, what's up, Kila Costa Monster? Kila Costa Monster. I like that. I like that. Very cool. Speaking of monsters, I don't know. I think my monster might be asleep. Usually she'll come up here lately. She's been coming up here to say goodnight, and so she's been popping in on a lot of streams. I think she was on Grande's stream last week. So I think she just likes to get her 15 minutes in. She's got to make her cameo. Let me see, Steven at Michelle. Hi, fun size. Okay, all right. Shooting a shot. I appreciate it. You did a great job on the Night Rider stream last week. Didn't want to bug you because you were working on the stream. There you go. Keep going, brother. Keep shooting them shots. Sweet talker. Fun size. I like that. Steven says it sounds like something I'd hear in a black beer commercial. What is a black beer? What would that be? What would be a black beer? A black beer commercial. Cyan, speaking of the Night Riders commentary. Hi, Cyan. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. It was awesome having you on, man. I was saying this to I think it was Matt or Paul, maybe, or I may have been in the group chat, but I was saying how interesting, how cool it was to actually have somebody in there on the commentary that wasn't just a huge Romero fan, because you don't normally, like, you don't run into just a regular, a horror fan or something. Like, you run into a regular horror fan, you say you're a huge Romero fan, they'll say, oh yeah, I like Dawn of the Dead, or I like Night of the Living Dead, or they go for those, but very rarely do you go to like a casual, just movie fan in general, and say like, oh, what's your favorite George Romero film? And usually they'll say like Dawn or Night or something like that, but nobody ever says Night Riders. And I think you're maybe the one person on earth that's just like, yeah, I'm not big into Romero, but I love fucking Night Riders. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. So it was cool having you in there a couple weekends ago. I keep wanting to say last week, but I wasn't here last week. But yeah, I appreciate you doing that. I really do. It was a lot of fun. Liquid Cooler, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Science saying Night Riders absolutely has the best soundtrack. Yeah. Like I said, it's fucking. Oops. Sorry, Keela. To me, it's Donald's masterpiece, man. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful score all the way through from start to finish. Just perfect. Hits those emotional notes. Like, it's everything that. And really, I think. Well, no, I guess Martin would probably be similar. Yeah, I mean, Donald was kind of the one guy. I'm kind of thinking about it. Donald was kind of the one guy that George originally, for the first time, actually entrusted with the music process of his films. Like, typically, I mean, you go back to, Night, the early stuff with Vanilla and Season of the Witch. We're calling it Hungry Wives now. I don't know why, but it's a new thing. I guess it goes from Season of the Witch, and sometimes people refer to it as Jack's wife. But here recently, everybody's just been calling it Hungry Wives, so we're gonna go with Hungry Wives. What the hell? But even the Crazies and all that, like, it's all like just George cutting together, library music for the soundtracks on that, and other music. I mean, of course, there's the Donovan, and there's the the different songs that are used in the Crazies and all that. But yeah, Donald was kind of the first one that George was just like fully entrusted to come up with the score for, for Martin, and kind of wanted to do that again with Dawn. Didn't get to do that, but ended up going with him again in Night Riders. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's I think it says a lot about Donald's talent and what kind of musician that he is. Liquid Cooler says Day of the Dead soundtrack is great. Those guitars and synths inspired a ton of future zombie stuff in pop culture. Yeah, love John Harrison's score for Day of the Dead. I think, like I said, it's depending on who you talk to, it's hot or cold for some people. But I've never I don't know, I've never gotten the hate for the Day of the Dead soundtrack, man. It just works in the same way that the Night Rider score works. Like, it hits all those emotional cues just perfectly. But yeah, Chintz, what's going on, brother? Chintz 2D is in the house. I feel like Dawn 78 has the greatest in movie soundtrack of all time. I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. Just personal opinion. I'm not gonna argue with you. I love fucking all of that music. Although some of the library stuff is kind of little hokey. But I mean, it's just that just goes back to George's sense of humor, I think, on a lot of that stuff. Okay, good. It says past bedtime. You're good. All right, good. Yeah, it's past my daughter's bedtime too. Like I said, I'm hoping she's in bed at least. Liquid Cooler says the Dead Island, Dying Light, heavily inspired by Day of the Dead scores. Oh, that's interesting. I've never played any of those. I don't think, but I'd definitely be interested in checking that out just to see if I can hear the similarities there. Steven says I love the Dawn soundtrack because of the eclectic mix. I agree that Goblin alone probably wouldn't have been as good, but the library tracks along with Goblin works for me. Yeah, like just some of the, like I noticed this when I watch the European version, like some of the stingers and like the little bits of music that George puts in certain scenes to emphasize certain things. Like a lot of that stuff has to be like library cues. I think it works perfectly well. Whereas in like the European cut, it's like the overuse of Goblin Zombie in the European cut is almost to the point where you're just like, I never want to hear this song again by the time the movie's over. But yeah, I think it works for some things in that European version. Some of the Goblin stuff works maybe a little better than the library stuff. But yeah, I think for the most part, or maybe it's just because that's what we grew up on, that's what we're so used to. I don't know, but yeah, it's a fun mix if nothing else. Chin says Day of the Dead also has a great soundtrack. Those synths are amazing. That key in after every punchline from Captain Road. Yeah. Doom. Perfect timing with those piano synths. Yeah. And it's got the military drum sound to it, you know. Yeah, I agree. Steven says Colt 45. What about Colt 45? No, I'm not drinking Colt 45 tonight. I'm not even drinking Iron City tonight. I'm having more Yingling Light. I kind of like that here recently. I don't know. Been on a Yingling Light kick. It's still Pennsylvania. It's close to Pittsburgh, so that counts, I guess. Still representing. Kenneth says thank you, sir. Made Keela's night. She went to bed. All right. Well, good night, Keela. I'm glad I can make your night. Say hello here. Yeah, my daughter, she gets a kick out of when she comes up here. Like, I'll go back the next day. Like, she pops on to say goodnight or whatever. I'll go back the next day and show her, and it just blows her mind that she's on TV. Like, she feels like a star all of a sudden. Science says I enjoyed it a lot as well. Thank you for having me on. Absolutely. Anytime. I'd like to get you back on at some point, too. If there's anything else you want to talk about. Which you did show me. You did have a couple of German Dawn of the Dead zombie posters that you forgot you had. It's pretty cool. I think they were 11 by 17, I think. Yeah, very cool. So, yeah, anytime you want to come back on, you're more than welcome. Landrum, what's going on, brother? Matt Landrum's in the house. Hey, dudes. Hey, dude. Hope you're doing well, my man. Check out Matt over at Drone of the Dead here on YouTube. Science says I'm definitely not the average Romero fan. I do like his other works, but Knight Riders hits different. Yeah. Well, like I said, you don't meet very many. Like, usually people that love Knight Riders are also Romero fans. You don't meet very many people that just love Knight Riders and like everything else. You know, it was just, it's cool, you know. I respect that. I really do. Jeff says, has anyone heard of Spawn of the Living Dead? It's supposed to be a follow-up tonight with Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder, and Michael Berryman. It was mentioned on Dark Nation. I saw something about that. It was like, yeah, Spawn of the Living Dead has their cast and Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder, Michael Berryman, which is cool. Love all those guys. I just don't. No. I've already been sucked into the Festival of the Living Dead thing, and that was a fucking nightmare. The Queens of the Dead that Tina Romero is doing, that's coming out soon. There's actually, I think it was on the cover of Fangoria this month. Tina made the cover of Fangoria this month. That was pretty fucking cool to see. But the movie itself, I'm just like, you know, I don't really have too high of hopes for it. That's the way you say that. Too high of hopes, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It's a cool cast. I appreciate the cast, but that's usually also a cast like when you have Bill Moseley and those guys. Like I said, I love those guys to death. That's usually a cast that it could be really direct to video, fucking not great. And it could also be one of those movies where they have like a 2 minute cameo in it or something like that, and they'll be the stars. I love when movies do that. It's like starring Bruce Campbell, like, and he's like the cop at the end or something, for 30 seconds. So who knows? Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what that is, what that's all about. Matt says, "What did I miss? Not much, man. You missed the world premiere of Eugene Clark's new hit song. Do you guys want to hear that again, real quick? You can go back and listen to it. You can go back and listen to it. Um, but yeah. I think I guess I'll come down here. Quit smoking. Yeah. I'm quitting smoking, man. I think I'm just ready. It's like I was saying earlier. It's like sometimes you're ready to fucking do something. Like you tell yourself all the time, it's like I need to stop doing this, I need to stop doing that, I need to quit smoking. It's not good for me, blah blah blah. But at some point, it's just like I'm kind of bored with it. Like I'm just kind of over it. And like I said, it's just too fucking expensive to smoke these days. So yeah. I'm on. This is my first full day without a cigarette, and I feel all right. I feel okay. I feel good. We'll see what happens in a few days, but I think I'll be good. Like I said, I've been popping the Zen just when I get that craving, just throw it in, and but we'll see. Chit says I listened to Goblin track Lacacia on repeat on my train ride from California to Pittsburgh and back. I still listen to the track when I am at the skate park, and that track inspires Brief Hope. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a great one. Um, it would have been fun though if you'd have listened to the fucking Torta Fascia, the Pie in the Face song. Just listen to that constantly on all the way there. You probably would have, by the time you had arrived, you'd have been, your brain would have been mush. But yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I do that anytime I go to Pittsburgh. It's as soon as I know that I'm going through Fort Pitt Tunnel and I'm coming out at the other end, like I'm popping in fucking Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, typically always Dawn of the Dead. I'm trying to think if I ever listen to anything else, but it's typically the main theme for Dawn of the Dead. Doom da, because that's how it feels when you come out of Fort Pitt Boulevard going into Pittsburgh from the way that we come. As soon as you go through the tunnel, like before you get to the tunnel, it's just there's trees and grass and hills, and you can't see anything. It doesn't look like you're even close to Pittsburgh. But you go through this tunnel and you're driving through the tunnel, and it's just no. And by the time you exit the tunnel, it's like there it is. Like you're almost in downtown Pittsburgh. Like it's pretty crazy. So as soon as you come out of that tunnel, you got to hit them with that, pa doo doo. Yeah, you got to sync it up just right, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah, Matt, you missed the best Eugene Clark song ever. I think this new one's going to be his biggest hit to date. I think that's safe to say, and very true. I mean, he spills his heart out. I mean, he's telling you, like this is what he cares about in life. This is his love, his passion, and you believe it. I mean, it's like that scene in Walk the Line when the dude tells Johnny Cash, he's like, "Yeah, I don't believe you. Telling me I don't believe in God. It's like I didn't say anything about whether or not you believed in God. I don't believe you and what you're singing, what you're doing." This one, you believe every word that Eugene Clark is spitting on this one. So, yeah, you'll have to go back and check that out, man. Liquid Cooler says, I love Martin and Death Dream, earlier 70s zombie/vampire film. It's a slept-on horror play. Yeah, that's one. It's Bob Clark, and one that I still need to see. I've never seen Death Dream before. I thought I had until I looked it up because I was going to watch it again, and I was like, oh, I don't remember that. I was thinking of something like it's another one's like Death something from that time period. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I haven't seen Death Dream. I've checked that out. Chance says, I agree. A lot of that Goblin soundtrack has a lot of hokey extra tracks, but I like those hokey tracks, even though I skip most of them. They still fit well in the movie. Yeah, I mean, a lot of like the zombie voices and all that. I think George did use some of that stuff. For a score, just in the way that George does, it's just kind of a little bit of like an accent here and there on certain like music cues. But yeah, don't get me wrong, I love that. And the first time I listened to that whole Goblin soundtrack, that whole Goblin album, it was confusing for me as a teenager because most of those songs are not in the version of Dawn of the Dead that I was used to watching. So when I first listened to that, I was like, what is all this fucking music? Like, where is this at in the movie? And I had no idea that there was a separate, cut over in Europe at that point. But yeah, I've grown to love all that shit. Like, even the zombie sexy track and the oblio or whatever it's called, like the piano, the slow piano music. Like, it's beautiful stuff. Like, it's nice to just have a glass of scotch and put that on sometimes. I don't know. Liquid Cooler says there's a mural of George in Dying Light 1. If I spoiled this for anyone, apologies. I think I've seen that before. I think I've seen a picture of that before online. Chin says, no way, Dying Light has Dawn of the Dead Easter eggs. I gotta play it now. Yeah, I feel like I remember seeing that mural, like a picture of that, just because it's George. But I've never actually played the game before. I kind of, like I said, like probably the last games I remember playing were probably like later, maybe early PS4 games, and a lot of those were like those, what do you call them? Like where you're just playing through making decisions for characters. The Telltale games, I think is what they were. I was getting older and just lazy at that point. I was just like, I just want to pick where this story's going, and it's kind of fun. I like that. Science says, anytime, like you said, I kind of live the lifestyle, so I can come on and talk about whenever you want. There you go. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool getting that that point of view as well, and just kind of the clarity on like how this, how something like that actually does work. Stead just says, may sound dumb. Nothing sounds dumb, dude. I come on here and I just blab for who knows how long, and I don't know what the hell I said until I go back and listen. I'm just like, what did I say? So I probably say dumb shit all the time, so don't worry about it. May sound dumb, but I like parts of the Dawn soundtrack, but I'm old. I like parts of the Dawn soundtrack, but I'm old, and I shopped in malls on the 70s, and some of the cartoony music just bugs me because nobody played music like that. Well, funny enough, I don't know if you've heard it. I did a video on it months back, but Norman England, who was the guy behind the Zombie Farm website for all those years, it was recently just taken down, but he actually visited the Monroeville Mall in 1987, I think. Was it 87? So almost 10 years after they filmed Dawn of the Dead. And what he did, he took a tape recorder, just put it in his pocket, and walked around the mall and just recorded the ambient sounds in the mall. And just walking around the mall, and you can hear the mall music that they're playing in 1987, and it sounds almost exactly like the mall music that they use in Dawn of the Dead. Like, it's goofy, hokey, like that type of shit. Still playing that in 1987. So I imagine, I mean, it was probably fairly true to life, the type of mall music that they were playing in the mall at the time that they filmed. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, it's actually he put it on a CD. I know Paul has it. I think Matt has it. Paul sent me a burned copy of it that I talked about and played on here once. But yeah, it's literally just, it's like an hour of him walking around the mall, recording the sounds of the mall in 1987. You hear the fountain, you hear him ordering like a pretzel. Like it's really, for a hardcore Dawn fan, like it's really interesting. It's really fun to listen to kind of hear what the mall sounded like back then. You can hear, it's funny, if you're a big enough fan, you can kind of hear where he's at in certain parts of the mall. Like I said, the fountain, when you hear the fountain, like your brain immediately goes, oh, the fountain was still there then, it's pretty cool. It's called fuck, what is the name of it? I can't remember what the hell he called it, but yeah, it's an actual CD of like just it's like I said, it's just an hour of him walking around the mall. Looking cooler. Chin's lots of nods to the master. Very cool. And Chin says, I skipped on the Dying Light games, but if they pay tribute to Romero, then I gotta play it. There's also, wasn't he in like one of the Call of Duty like zombie games? Wasn't he like the main villain? Like he was like the super zombie at the end, was George Romero that you couldn't kill. I thought that was pretty fucking awesome. Oh, Matt, you just don't know what you missed, man. You just don't know what you missed. I might play it again here at the end of the stream. I might end the stream tonight fucking playing it. Matt says, good for you, dude. Nasty habit, expensive, mind over matter. You got this. Yeah. I mean, it's the same as changing any habit. Eating habits, anything like that. It's like once you kind of get used to the routine of not having something, um, it just becomes natural, you know. So we'll see. I feel pretty good about where I'm at right now. So like I said, hopefully it sticks. As Michelle said, hopefully it sticks. Um, Chin says, okay, got to play the games now. Speaking of zombie games that are inspired from movies, I felt like Zombies Ate My Neighbors was inspired by Return of the Living Dead. Funny enough, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, the cover of that, actually uses imagery from Night of the Living Dead. It actually has, there's some of the zombies from Night of the Living Dead are used on the artwork for that. So yeah, that was definitely inspired. Um, Matt says, I started smoking a pack a day when I was 15 and quit when Emery was born. Never looked back. Yeah, fair. Yeah. I'm following suit. Like I said, I didn't smoke that whole 9 months that that Jade was pregnant with Everly, and then as soon as Everly was born, I was just like, all right, I just watched a human being being pulled out of my fiance's guts. So I need a cigarette. I need to step outside for a second. But yeah, man, very cool, man. I had no idea you ever smoked. I think you may have mentioned that once before, but okay, thank you, Paul. I see it popped up there on the corner. Discreet Mall, that's what it is. Discreet Mall. I knew it was something with the mall. That's it. Thank you, Matt. Coming in with the save. Let me see here. Let me hit the rest of these comments here real quick, and then we'll start digging into the album itself. I was about to earlier, and then I got sidetracked playing fucking the new Eugene Clark hit song. I was listening to earlier, and I forgot that it was still playing before I hit play. Oh fuck, where was I? I jumped down. See, I tried to stay in line here. I think I was right here. Yeah, Torta Fascia would have liquidized my brain if I listened to it on repeat. Yeah, that's a fun one, though. That's a fun one. Which, again, that's one of those tracks that makes you think, and me and John Vula have talked about this before, it makes you think, like, the version, so when George sent his cut over to Dario to do the European cut, I feel like George probably had some of that library music, if not completely wall-to-wall library music, on that full cut that he sent over there. So Dario heard that and probably, used that as, or maybe Goblin used that as inspiration for some of the tracks that they use, like Torta Fascia and Safari. I mean, of course, that's why else would they do that for, unless they saw the scene in the gun shop, So it does make you think that that's probably a good chance that that's what happened there. Steven says, I hope you're not Krusty the Clown and have 200 patches all over yourself. No patches, just a little zen in the lip right now, which, speaking of, I need to spit this thing out here in a second, so apologies. Chin says, damn, my phone was on 2% when I got off the train when I arrived in Pittsburgh at 5 a.m. I literally missed out on syncing any songs when taking the city bus across that bridge and tunneled to my... See, there you go. Another, gives you an excuse. You got to go back, man. You got to go back. Got to do it one more time. Yeah, I mean, I dig that. Liquid Cooler says the Goblins were like Black Sabbath in Romero's universe. R.I.P. Ozzy. I can dig that. I mean, Goblin was only used in one Romero film, and it wasn't even really by Romero's choice. But I think some of that stuff, like the music that George did end up using, whether it was by, whether he had to or not, like I said, he used it perfectly and didn't overuse it, I guess, See how long I stay awake tonight. Well, let's see. Maybe I'll put you to sleep with the soothing sounds of Donald Rubinstein here in a second. Oh, that's cool, Sam. I do have a first edition copy of the hard copy Dawn of the Dead book. Very cool. I have that as well. Over there. Chin says it would be so cool if they played all those old school 70s mall tracks from the movies on the mall intercom. That would have been such an immersive experience for people who are fans. I've often wondered that too. I've often wondered like why they wouldn't do that for like Living Dead weekend, or see if you could do something like that for like the VIP party, if nothing else. Like make that the fucking music. Do the gonk and all that. Fucking yeah, hell yeah. There he is. Seth, what's going on, buddy? Says, hey, I finally tore myself away from gratuitous family functions today. Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah, I saw you eating like a fucking live fish or something like that. I saw it. I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? Uh, but hey, glad you made it. Glad you made it, man. Hope you had a good day. I hope you had a good birthday too. Like I said, I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, happy belated birthday, man. Now that you're in here. And when do you want to do the Midnight 2 watch along, Synth? Anytime this week, let me know, and we'll do it. Because I'm curious. That's a perfect one to do a first time watch along here. So let me know when you're available, my man. Matt says, I love the part where you can hear him mumble when there's no more room in hell under his breath at one point. Oh, yes, on the discreet mall. Yeah, I forgot about that. Um, I do that too anytime I'm at the mall. I'm just like quoting the movie as I'm walking through there. Um, Rick gave up Jack in the Box. That's a big one. Dude, fast food is a hard one, man. I swear to God, like McDonald's, like if I don't eat McDonald's for like weeks and weeks at a time, like I'm fine. But the first time that I go in there and I eat McDonald's, I want it immediately like the next day. So I don't know. They do something, some kind of crack going on in there. Kenneth, have you ever seen Rose Red? If so, do you like it? I think I remember seeing like a little bit of it when it first aired on TV because it was kind of a big deal back then. I remember my parents recorded it on I think they recorded it on VHS because that was like what, late 90s, early 2000s, I think. So yeah, we definitely still had a VCR. But yeah, I don't remember loving it. Like it was just one of those things that was just kind of in and out, and I haven't watched it since it first aired. So, but that's one of the Stephen King ones that like everybody kind of puts over, kind of talks about a lot. So, um, Stezio, just one copy of Midnight 2 on eBay, 13.95 worth it. That's way less than what I paid for mine. I bought mine from the distributor, the SRS Home Video. I think I paid like 25 for mine. So I mean, it's hey, if you're a collector, it's worth picking up. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it's any fucking good or not. I'm guessing that it's utterly horrible. Um, I don't know why I feel that way, but I'm just guessing. I have a hunch. I have a feeling that this is utterly fucking terrible. But it's going to be utterly fucking terrible in a way that I'm going to enjoy. So, which is typically any John Russo film, unfortunately, except for Midnight. I love Midnight. Um, but even that's just kind of, it's kind of, it's got its moments. Since I drive around listening to Discreet Mall in my car, there you go. Sometimes I'll put it on, like if I'm working on something for the channel or something like that, I'll put it on in the background and it's just kind of, it's perfect, just background noise. Love it. Chin says I got to go back to Pittsburgh to see George's old office at least, even if the mall won't be there. I still got to go back. I fell in love with Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh area, everyone was so friendly there. Yeah, I love Pittsburgh, and there's a million reasons. Like even when the mall isn't going to be there, and I said this a couple weeks ago, but like even when the mall's not there, there's still plenty of reasons to go back and visit Pittsburgh, and because like I said, I do just love the city itself. Like my whole reason to go to Pittsburgh originally was for Romero and the locations and the mall and Living Dead Weekend and all that stuff. But going there as often as I've been over the past few years, like you just fall in love with the culture. Like it's a city that has its own personality. Like you go to a lot of cities now, like a lot of modern cities, and it's a city. There's no real personality. There's no real pride, like team pride. Like man, Steelers and Penguins. Pittsburgh loves their sports teams. They love their city. Like Iron City beer. They're big about that local shit there, man. And I appreciate that. It's a big city that has like a small town, I don't know, vibe to it. If that makes any sense. Yeah, I love Pittsburgh, man. I'll always find time to go back to Pittsburgh, even when like I said, we don't know when that's gonna be. Or like the rumors have been 2027, but we read something earlier this week that says where Walmart and their developers, there's no timetable. They don't know. They said it's going slower than they originally planned, and they don't know. There's no timetable for it, so nobody knows for sure. So at least we still got that. At least we still got that hope to hold on to, I guess. Paul says I haven't played it, but I'm pretty sure State of Decay has tons of Romero references. I don't even think I've heard of that one. But if it's a zombie game, it should. God damn it. It was his playground first. Paul says, but the first Dead Rising game is a masterpiece. Yeah, I remember when that came out. I was like, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to a Dawn of the Dead video game. And yeah, it's a great game. That's a fun game. I spent a lot of time playing that fucking game back in the day. Chin says I gotta go back soon, even though I can't make it in October. Well, I mean, if you can't make it in October, like I said, there's a good chance next June, there'll be another one, another Living Dead weekend. So if you can make it then, perfect. But if not, yeah, you can always go back. There's always going to be, you're always going to be on the site of, Romero's films. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I'll ever go back to that location once the mall is gone and there's the fucking Walmart or whatever monstrosity they're going to put there. That might be kind of tough. I don't know if I'll do that, but yeah. You can definitely count on me going back to Pittsburgh. Yeah, that is one of those games that you can kind of just always pick up and play anytime you want. Never kind of goes out of style. Rick says I saw it 28 years later zombie movie. It was pretty good. Liked it. Okay, very cool. You liked it. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Wasn't. I love the first one. Liked the second one. This one just didn't do it for me. But a lot of people dig it. So I'm all for it, man. I think horror is like one of the only genres now that's kind of easily bankable because they're cheap to make, which has always kind of been the case. I mean, horror's always kind of been cheap to make, and it always makes money for the most part, which is why most first-time filmmakers make a horror film first. It's the the most sure thing to to find an audience and make money with. But yeah, very cool, man. Glad you liked it. Since says, thanks again for the birthday wishes. I'll send a few days / times for midnight too. Sounds good, man. Just let me know, and we'll do it, and we can find out if it's worth a shit or not. Liquid Cooler says, I love Stephen King mini-series films are some of his best work, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the mini-series is easier. Like, miniseries, like the idea of the miniseries works better for a Stephen King novel or a Stephen King story than a film does, because a film has to be like Stephen King's shit is very fleshed out. Like his books are very big. Like there's a lot of different ideas. There's a lot of stuff going on in his stories. It's hard to condense that into a 90-minute film and make it work. Unless you're like a Stanley Kubrick or a Brian De Palma. And I love George, but I'm not the biggest Dark Half fan, but I think George tried his best to kind of condense the Dark Half down into a 90-minute film and kind of make it work. But it's very, very hard to get it all there and do the story justice in a 90-minute or 2-hour film even. That's why it works, because it's it's a mini series. It kind of allows, like the original It. There's plenty of time for it to flesh out. The Stand, like all those, like a lot of the more popular Stephen King stuff are the miniseries, because I think it's easier it stays truer to the source material. Yeah, The Stand, Tommyknockers, Langoliers, Salem's Lot is another perfect example. Although I guess you're talking about the 2004 one. I don't know if I've ever seen the 2004 one, but the original Salem's Lot, that was TV originally, which is why George ended up not doing it, because he didn't want to do TV at the time. So Tobe Hooper ended up taking it over, and it was pretty fucking successful for Tobe Hooper. I'll say that. Rose Red, Ride the Bullet, Desperation. Yeah. Matt says Pittsburgh has a way to make this Georgia boy feel like a true Yinzer. One of my favorite places in the world. Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like Pittsburgh is almost has a, not a southern feel, but more of like because it's like right there on the border of West Virginia, and it's right up in the hills. Everything's on a damn hill, so it feels like you're in the hills of West Virginia or the hills of Eastern Kentucky. So it has that kind of vibe to it too. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I love that city. Rick says, yeah, not everyone will feel the same way. About the 20 years later. Yeah, I mean, some like it, some don't. But I think that's, I would rather watch a movie that some people love and some people hate than watch a movie that everybody just loves. Or it's like, oh, it's the greatest movie ever. And it's like, yeah, well, is it really? Like, if there's nothing divisive about it, I'm not really all that interested. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre when that came out. Some people loved it, some people hated it. And even to this day, some people love it, some people hate it. And I think that's what makes it fucking brilliant. That's what makes it work. Chin says, it's crazy how actual steel and iron products are so cheap there. I got a phone charging cable that was encased in actual steel at Ollie's, something that like that would be pretty expensive here. Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought of that, though. I've never really noticed that. Chin said the cable's like $5. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cheap for a fucking charging cable. A cable that is encased in actual steel would cost over $20 here. Yeah, yeah. It's a good point. Yeah, I've never actually noticed that, but yeah, $5, man. You can't beat that. But all right, you guys ready to get to the music? You guys ready to get back to business here? So as I was saying, Donald Rubinstein's Dawn Imagined, the original music cues, the original music sketches that he originally came up with when George reached out to him in 1977 to do the score for Dawn of the Dead. Didn't end up doing it because, you know, Dario wanted Goblin and it didn't work out. But years later, he would go on and record these songs. Like I said, there's 3 recorded in 1987, 1 from 2007. And those are all just kind of him on a keyboard. Like I said, keep that in mind when you listen to this. Like, it does kind of sound a little wonky. But imagine it with a full fleshed out band around him. You know, a budget, a studio. But the one that is kind of fleshed out and you can actually kind of hear, and like I said, it does kind of sound like a mix of his work on Martin, his soundtrack for Martin. It's a mix. There's some tinges of Knight Riders a little bit there and some of the orchestral stuff. And there's also a little bit of flavor from some of the library tracks that George would eventually use for Dawn of the Dead. And it's called Music for Chamber Orchestra, Track 8. And that one's actually pretty fleshed out and actually kind of works. And like I said, I actually took some of these music cues and some of these tracks, and I'm starting to edit it into Dawn of the Dead just to kind of get the idea, to kind of get the feel for would it have worked. And I might, if you guys are good, might give you a sneak peek of that here in a little bit. So yeah, let's take a listen to the tracks off this album. Like I said, you can find this album on eBay, $10-15. It's not too bad. Hard to get started though. I'm gonna spit my Zen out here. I'm gonna pour another beer while I cue the record up, as they say. I cannot pour this goddamn beer without spilling it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's not Guinness. I'm so used to pouring Guinness. But anyway, let's get to it. So the first track we're going to play is actually track 1 off of this album. It's called Dawn Imagined A, based on the thematic ideas written for Dawn of the Dead. So this is a thematic idea. This is what he wrote, his idea for what he wanted the Dawn soundtrack to be, the Dawn score to be, by Donald Rubinstein. Here we go. You guys ready for this? And all right, here we go. Dawn Imagined A. And that's how it starts. Right on. Like I said, it's just him on one keyboard, just playing the notes of the music that he wrote. So try to imagine this. Where would this be used in Dawn of the Dead? It kind of picks up, maybe a chase scene. So it definitely sounds, I don't know, to me it sounds like Troma-esque or something, or Full Moon or something like that. No, like early 90s. Like I said, this was recorded in 1987. So about a decade after he wrote the music. And this was recorded in Roswell, New Mexico. And I think he still lives in New Mexico, I think. Rick likes it. Now, the one thing about... Let me know, is this too loud for you guys? But the one thing about Donald Rubinstein stuff, some of Donald's stuff, it's a little too avant-garde for my taste, I guess. Jen says that track could have been used when Peter and Roger first team up while shooting the zombies in that basement. Yeah, there's actually a piece of music coming up that I think would kind of work perfectly for that scene specifically. See, it kind of sounds like a MIDI, like the Ultimate Warriors theme in a MIDI, whatever you want to call it, what they used for like Sega Genesis and stuff back in the day. Boiler Room? I can see it in a Boiler Room. Okay, just a bit. Let me lower the volume a little bit there. Is that a little better, guys? Steven says, I don't know if I can see this for Dawn, but maybe Tales from the Dark Side or Freddy's Nightmares. Not bad, just don't see it for Dawn. Yeah, I kind of agree with that, the Tales from the Dark Side take. I kind of agree with that. I was thinking that too, which he actually did the opening score for Tales from the Dark Side. So, that makes sense. Stezio said, seen the truck moving scene. Yeah, it's definitely got the pace for like an action scene of some type. Yeah. All right, that's it. Dawn Imagined A, track 1 on Dawn Imagined. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely some frantic, like I said, it's a little avant-garde for me. It's a little, which Donald was always kind of about that anyway. But I can definitely see like some good suggestions, like the Boiler Room, like down, down, down. Yeah, I could definitely see that in the Boiler Room. But yeah, I'm kind of with Steven on this. It definitely does sound like something more that would have been used for like a Tales from the Dark Side or like a TV. It's like, to me, like just the production, like I said, it's all on one keyboard. It's just kind of him. This isn't what it would have sounded like in the film, but it kind of gives you an idea of like what could have been. Matt says, help me understand, he was originally supposed to score Dawn, and this is what he composed, but it wasn't recorded until 1987. I'm guessing this was just a way to flesh out the concept. So, basically, from my understanding, he wrote some concepts. Like, he never recorded the actual music for Dawn. Like, when he was approached for it, he kind of wrote the music for it, kind of composed it, but never actually recorded it before he was, before Goblin was brought in. And this was just kind of him going back to it 10 years later and just kind of performing what he wrote, just to kind of get it out there, I guess. Like I said, there is a track on here that he did record in 1980 that was originally supposed to be for Dawn of the Dead that actually does sound like an actual score that you could kind of picture being in Dawn of the Dead. So, but yeah, there's tracks on here recorded from all over. Like, this is 1987. The next two tracks are recorded in 1987. Track 6, which is Dawn D, is 2007. So that was, 20 years after the fact, or no, 30 years after the fact. And then the music for chamber orchestra, the one I was talking about, was 1980. So yeah, everything on this CD is kind of all over the place in terms of when it was recorded. Since says, yeah, screams of early romplers, not a Fairlight or emulator sample system. Static samples, I don't know what that is, are not very dynamic or forgiving. Yeah, that's a good way to put that. It doesn't sound very dynamic. I mentioned a second ago what he actually recorded this on. I don't remember if you were in here or not. But it was a Ensoniq ESQ1 keyboard. I'm sure you're more familiar with that than I am, Sant. But yeah, that's what he was using to record these first 3 tracks. Since says in this case played on acoustic instruments would have been much better, possibly. But I mean, I feel like there's just so many layers of stuff there that because if you listen to the actual track that's kind of fleshed out, like I mentioned, there's a lot of layers, a lot of different instrumentation. I mean, the tempo changes because you can tell that certain pieces of the track were meant for different parts of the movie in terms of, mood or, and you can kind of hear that in this, like it kind of changes, the pace of it kind of changes, the vibe of it kind of changes throughout the track. And I think that's where the brilliance of George would have come in, and he would have cut those pieces out and used certain things where they fit perfectly. Which is kind of what he did with Donald stuff for Martin, where George would kind of slow it down and kind of make it, sustain out a little longer than it did in the original track. So yeah, that's one thing. I would have loved to have seen what George would have done with this score in terms of editing it to the film. But yeah, so that's track 1, Dawn Imagined A. The next track 2, is Dawn Imagined B. So we'll go ahead and play this and see what you guys think. Oh, we kind of got... See, that kind of sounds a little goblinish there, that opening. Oh. It actually kind of sounds like a Fulci score. A little bit. See, you hear like in the back there, very goblin-esque, very goblin-esque. Now it's a little Killer Clowns from Outer Space-ish. I don't know what you'd call it. I kind of dig that part. Yeah, so see, like, this would kind of be like almost two separate pieces of a soundtrack here. Very experimental. Very experimental. You gotta give it to Don. He did not shy away from experimenting. But I kind of dig this. This actually kind of reminds me of something from 28 Days Later. Like when they're traveling through the country. Matt digs it. Matt digs it. Should say this could fit Killer Clowns when Mike and Debbie sneak into the spaceship. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking when I heard it. It's like spa music. It's kind of nice. For a second there, I thought we were going to get Happy, Happy Halloween. I kind of dig this track. I'm actually... I don't know. It would have been fun. It would have been fun to hear this in Dawn and how it would have been fleshed out and been used. All right, that's it. That's Dawn Imagined B, track 2 on this. What do you guys think about that one? I like that one better than the first one. The first one was a little too frantic, a little too all over the place for me. But that one, there was actually pieces in that that's like, yeah, I could see that in the film and somehow. Synth saying, I love my Ensoniq ESQ1, considered a poor man's PPG wave with digital synthesis and anoint filters, but not great for this use case. There you go. So don't blame it on the keyboard is what Synth is saying. Don't blame it on the instrumentation. Since a dissonant and nightmarish for sure, the first part of B. Yeah. Definitely more horror vibe there, especially with the little laugh, which would have been interesting. The little laughter, the would have been interesting how that would have been used in the film. Steven says this one's better, but I'm thinking more Hell of the Living Dead. Okay, all right. Hey, I love Hell of the Living Dead, and so I'll take that. I should say 28 years later was straight up dog shit. Well, Rick enjoyed it. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan, but Rick liked it. Quite a few people like that movie, so hey, what do I know? Since the synth laughing is a bit much for Dawn. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm wondering like how that would have been incorporated into the film. Like where would that have made sense? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like different scenes. I'm like, well, maybe it could have been. No, it wouldn't work there. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I'll see what I can do with it. Matt says even the real instrumentation, I'm having a hard time imagining this in the film. Yeah, just vibe, just the vibes of it. Yeah, I totally get that. Michelle, I like it better than the first one, but I'm not sure where I would put it in time. Yeah, I think that's kind of everybody's kind of. That was my feeling the first time I heard it. I was just like, how the fuck would you use this for Dawn of the Dead? Like, where would this track be or this sound? Like, there's definitely some good shit in that could be used in a horror film, but I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine where this shit would go in Dawn of the Dead. There you go. Analog filters. There you go. Rick's saying it was okay. All right, Rick's okay. All right. Chit's saying, I'm surprised there aren't many Dawn of the Dead fan edits with exchange music like this, but I'm sure they would get blasphemed by the fans. Oh, there's a ton of Dawn fan edits. I'm like I said, I've done one. I've done a made-for-TV fan edit on my channel from years back. There's one that some guy just did a 4K version where he used AI to have an opening thing with Ken Foray's voice, and I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't watched it. I'm not really interested in watching it, but yeah, people. There've been all kind of, even going back to the original like Mall Hours cut of Dawn of the Dead, like, or the red version. Do you guys remember the German red version of Dawn of the Dead back in the day? Yeah, there's a ton of fan edits of Dawn of the Dead out there. Since then, Hell of the Living Dead. I'm a tit man myself. Greatest line from one of the greatest horror movies ever made. Damn it. So all right, so that's B. Guess we'll go ahead and place it. This is a little bit longer of a track, but this was also recorded in 1987, so this is all recorded right around the same time period. This is Dawn Imagined C. Here we go. This is the music that should be playing when it sounds like music that should be playing when, like, fat people run, you know? I don't know. Definitely more up-tempo, action-based music. I don't know, it's a bit Looney Tunes-ish. Yeah. See, Donald should have done the fucking Killer Clowns from Outer Space score with this. It'd have been perfect. Alright, now we're getting a little more grounded here. See, now this part, this isn't bad actually. It actually kind of has a creep show vibe to it a little bit, I think. The stuff that I can definitely say so far, the stuff that I like the most from this session of music is the more soundscapey stuff, the more ambient, just this kind of stuff here. As opposed to the whatever the hell that was. Oh, this is damn laughing mice again, or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, man, a little Pee Wee Hermanish. Yeah, exactly. Definitely used in Killer Clowns for sure. Brian, what's up, brother? Brian Stahl, what's up going on, man? Good to see you. Hearing Dead Alive here at best. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a good, good call out. Dead Alive, yeah. I can hear that. Since then, better music for Big Top Pee Wee. I don't know. I think, like I said, I'm trying to imagine it without this instrumentation. Like, maybe it wouldn't sound so farty, is the word that I use for it. Like tuba. I don't know. Steven saying sounds like Nickelodeon's 90s cartoon music. Yeah, a little bit. Little Ren and Stimpy-ish. D-Sun, what's going on, brother? Says, hey, y'all just dropped in. Had no idea Donald Rubinstein made a soundtrack for Dawn. Yeah, something like that. It sounds like it would fit better for the amusement park, actually. This would actually be the perfect score for the amusement park. Perfect vibe for it. Good to see you, man. Glad you're able to drop in. Chance this track sounds like it would fit in Day of the Dead. Yeah, this a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. See, like when it slows down, it kind of works. I guess maybe it's just the instrumentation aspect of it. Maybe the more upbeat stuff would sound a little better with like an orchestra or drums or whatever the hell they would use for it. Right, so this part was more funeral dirge minus laughs. Yeah, I agree. Second part of the track. Michelle says this is my least favorite of the three so far. Yeah. It's pretty close between this one and A, the first track. That one's a little like, what the fuck? And for a first track, too, to open this, think of it, like, first time I buy this CD and I put it in, I'm thinking like, oh, it's Donald Rubinstein, Martin, Night Riders. This is going to be his score for Dawn of the Dead. And that first track is what pops up. I'm just like, are you sure? Sure I got the right thing here? Chance, or the intro for Goosebumps show on Nickelodeon? Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah, I think Are You Afraid of the Dark theme was way better than this one. This is kind of nice. Well, is that it? I'm like the guy in the cake video. Well, damn, is that it? All right, so that is Dawn Imagine C, Donald Rubinstein. Well, I don't know about that one. Like, there are parts of that one that kind of work, but the rest, like a lot of the, I don't know, it's just a little circusy, Pee Wee Hermanish, as Matt put it. I kind of agree with that. Sensing Donald hitting too much meth or coke in that period. I don't know, man. Was meth a thing back in the 70s? I know there's like speed and all kinds of different uppers, but coke was probably more likely. But I don't think so. I think Don's just a different kind of cat, man. Stezio saying listening to these rough drafts to Dawn of the Dead is like imagining Christopher Walken as Han Solo. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's just like you're rolling through the film in your head trying to figure where would this fit? And certain things kind of do. Like listening to that track, like especially like I said, some of the more ambient like soundscapes and the more underplayed stuff, I guess. I could definitely see that as like just kind of setting the mood for certain scenes in Dawn. But yeah, as a whole, holy smokes. I don't know about it. Steven says the second part of track 3 sounds a lot better than the first part. That part could be in a Fulci film. yeah. Like I said, I definitely heard a little bit of it sounded like something from Italy, like an Italian horror film and some of that stuff. D-Sun says, where did you find this soundtrack as a public? I picked this up. I have another copy over here. I found it on eBay. You can get it usually for $10-15. Like I said, they're not readily available. You're not going to see them all the time. But I do see them pop up from time to time fairly often. And they're pretty fairly priced. It's only on CD, though. And like I said, $10-15. You can typically find it on eBay. Another door? Yeah, right? It'd have been perfect for that. Synth says these are very scattered, not thematically good, and bad parts. Okay, so Synth is not a fan so far. Yeah, it is very scattered. It's very, like I said, it's a little avant-garde. It's a little all over the place. Like I said, I think a lot of that, if maybe you take certain parts and look at the piece of music as certain parts that you can use for different things in the film, maybe it'll work. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's pretty all over. As a song to just sit here and listen to, it's pretty hard to follow because it's hard to kind of get in any kind of rhythm with the tracks. You know, it's kind of hard to just kind of get with it without all of a sudden just going off into fucking crazy land. Chin says meth really didn't hit hard to the late 80s. Since says, yeah, Hell's Angels love me. I guess meth was more of a, I don't know, an underground thing back in the day. It didn't quite hit the mainstream as it has today. Stizio says, just watch the trailer for Midnight 2. Looks awful. So yeah, I bought it. There you go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watch because, like I said, I've bought this. I've had it for a while, but I haven't actually sat down and watched it yet. So I think now is a good time to do that. All right, we got 2 more to go on this. This one's a little shorter. This one was recorded in 2007, so this is kind of added on 20 years after the last 3 were recorded. And this is Dawn Imagined D. So 2007. A lot of laughter. People are having a good time. It's the end of the world, damn it. I guess you could use this because it is kind of like crazy laughter. Maybe it's like the voices in Roger's head when he's starting to lose his shit when they're moving the trucks. Yeah, we got this, man. We got this by the ass. Roger. Come on, man. Get your head together. We got a lot of work to do. Let's go, baby. Number 2. You all right? Hey, I'm gonna fucking cut that. I'm gonna cut that scene to this music. I think it's gonna work. I'm just gonna sit here. As we listen to this, I will just sit here and quote the movie. I can picture Roger, you know, plowing through zombies on the way to the mall. You know, Savini jumping off the trampoline. Come on, Donald. We're veering off into fucking Killer Clowns from Outer Space territory again. Decent Goblin library tracks are irreplaceable, to be honest. As interesting as this is. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, Michelle's with you. I agree with that. Michelle set up the last track as a synth version of I'm a Man. I don't hate this track. This may be my favorite of all 4 of these so far. Because I can kind of picture this in the movie in some weird way. Since there's laughs and Roger and Peter don't jive. Okay. Well, this is definitely when the motorcycles show up, because there's a motorcycle sound effect there, I guess. Or whatever the hell that is. Alright, that's it. Like I said, it's a little bit of a shorter one. That was Dawn Imagine D from 2007. I kind of like that. I think out of the first 4, I think I might like that one the best. I can actually kind of picture that in the movie in some weird way. But I mean, it's like D-Sun said. It's like you've heard this, you've seen Dawn so many times over the years, and you're so used to the music and the score that's already there. It's hard to picture anything else there. But you know, who knows? How important is a soundtrack or a score to a film? I mean, it definitely makes you wonder. Like, if this was actually used for Dawn of the Dead, would Dawn of the Dead have been as successful as it was, or as well received as it was when it came out? Stizio says the zombies after the bikers leave. Yeah. Instead of the mall music, instead of the gonk, this would be the ending of Dawn of the Dead. I could kind of see that. I could see that. Since there's moto or flatulence, yeah, I think it's either a motorcycle or one of those slow farts that kind of vibrates your sphincter a little bit. Or everybody knows those farts. Come on. Steven, once again, I don't see it. This one, unfortunately, is for a bad Lifetime movie. Yeah, like I said, try to picture it with fully fleshed out, with an actual, budget and a band behind them, and instead of a keyboard, it's, an orchestra or whatever. I think some of the synth stuff works on this, some of the keyboard stuff, but yeah, gonk forever. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to picture certain things in my head, see if they work. Easton says the gonk works so much better thematically. Yeah, I think so too. But again, a lot of this stuff was written. I think pretty much everything that Donald wrote for the Dawn soundtrack or the Dawn score that he was supposed to do was written just off of reading the screenplay. And George has always talked about how the film itself actually turned out to be a whole lot more comedic, more not lighthearted, but just a lighter take on what the screenplay actually read like. I think Dave Emge actually says it in Document of the Dead. He's like, his perception of what the film was going to be is completely different after working on the set and filming a lot of the scenes, as opposed to how he felt about it reading the script. Like, he felt like it was going to be a really dark, hard, edgy horror film, whereas when they were filming it, there was a lot more comedy, a lot more levity to it. So yeah, that's a good point. Thematically, the gonk definitely works better for what the film became, but I think it was hard. It was just impossible. If you would have just said, like, before Dawn had been made, and before anybody heard anything or had seen Dawn or done anything, if you would have sat down and put that screenplay in front of somebody and said, "Hey, we need music for this," and you give them the gonk, I don't think anybody would have seen that. And nobody would have been like, "Oh yeah, that works perfectly for this screenplay. Perfect." But that's the genius of George, like somehow making that work in his horror film. And it's iconic now. It's like, yeah, it's hard to imagine it without it. Although, the European version doesn't have the gonk in it, so it's sorely missed. Since says Donald used Fairlight or Synclavier, I don't know what that is. This would be much more polished, professional, real orchestra, not always needed. That's true too. And Rick hitting the. Is that how it goes? I'm a fucking boomer. Give me a break. It's like, what is that? The kids used to do that back in the day. What was that called? But all right, we got one more track to go here on this. Like I said, there's 12 tracks in general, in total on this. A lot of this is other stuff that that Donald composed over the years. But the last one here is Music for Chamber Orchestra, Track 8, based on the thematic ideas for Dawn of the Dead. Like I said, this one's more fleshed out. You can tell there's a little bit of budget behind it because it did end up getting produced and recorded and used for something later on. And I actually quite like it. And you can actually kind of hear... You can hear tinges of his Martin score, you can hear a little bit of the Knight Rider score, and you can hear a little bit of the library music that George used. And I don't know, if it was an actual inspiration in the recording of this, but let me know what you guys think. But yes, this is a final track of the Dawn of the Dead early sketches from Donald Rubinstein. Music for Chamber Orchestra, Track 8. Here we go. See, it already kind of sounds a little bit like the library music in a weird way. And now, this sounds like Martin. I like the swell of the strings there, it kind of feels a little, it's like something from a Western, like a Clint Eastwood spaghetti Western or something back in the day. Thanks. Priceless. That's what I am. That's a word. That's a word for me. See, now that kind of sounds like that sounds a little bit like some of the library stuff from Dawn. This one kind of works. I don't know. What do you guys think? There you go, Matt. Yeah, that's more like it. All right. All right. So synth's okay with this one. This one has a little bit of gravitas. Yes, it does. But you guys hear what I mean when I say it has a little bit of Martin, a little bit of Knight Riders, and a little bit of library? Like it's a little, you can kind of hear a little bit of like this part here is definitely Martin. And I think that's the type of film that really fits Rubinstein's style. Is a little more of a... Because I said that my favorite parts of the other stuff that he did on this album were like the more soundscape-ish, low-key stuff. Donald Rubinstein's the original emo kid, damn it. He writes music for the emo kids like Martin out there. These senses, I can sort of imagine this playing as Roush is having his speech and Roger is starting to reanimate. I like it. Okay. Kind of a little bit of a change up here. Not bad though, not bad. Michelle saying maybe at the airport. Yeah. Ooh, little saxophone there. Michelle says this Martin-ish stuff could maybe be during the shopping montage. Yeah. Especially like the second montage in the can cut. it's a little more somber. You know, it's not quite as celebratory. Matt says Martin was introspective and moody. Dawn has an upbeat live-action comic book, or was an upbeat live-action comic book. Goblin just works better. I agree. And I kind of get the feeling that George kind of agreed to. Like, he may have... You know, Donald may have played some of these, you know, from what he had, played a little bit for it for George, and George was like, I don't know if this fits. Maybe I'll just use library stuff for this one. Yeah, this is very, very Martin-esque. That's a little Knight Riders-esque. I don't know. I like this one. I like this one for what it is. I don't know how I feel about it with Dawn, but Michelle agrees with Matt. There you go. All in all, I will always love the library tracks and the U.S. theatrical cut the best. Music-wise, in terms of the way that George cut the music to it, yeah, I think the U.S. theatrical cut is definitely the best use of the different tracks, for sure. Yeah, this one's a little longer. But again, you can kind of tell, like, you can kind of see George cutting this up and using it for 4 or 5 different scenes throughout the film. Because it's, again, the track-wise, there's no real flow to it. It's not as much a song as it is just a piece of music telling a story or something. As, you know, like a film score, which I guess makes sense. But this is far easier to imagine being in Dawn of the Dead as opposed to the first 4. Steven says better about the first half. Sounds like Tales from the Dark Side. The second sounds like a 50s sitcom with sex. Sounds like it's like a Mystery of the Week film. Yeah. You gotta have some sexy sax, man. Even in Dawn of the Dead. It's getting epic. Circles back around to the... I don't know. I like this one. At least... Like I said, it's fleshed out. You can kind of imagine it in the film. There you go. That's how you end a fucking song right there. That's how you do it. All right, that was track. That was exciting. I don't know. That was track 8, Music for Chamber Orchestra, based on thematic ideas for Dawn of the Dead, recorded in 1980. And I think sound-wise, too, like, it sounds like something from that era, too, so I think it fits better that way, as well. Shin says this entire scenario just gave me a weird thought if Ken Foray was replaced with Clint Eastwood for Dawn. I feel bad now. Well, you can see it. I mean, when Ken comes out with the, you know, he's got the bullets around the chest and stuff, he kind of looks like fucking man with no name, you know what I mean? Man, I hate typing on a phone chat. Yeah, I do too. That's why I don't, like, when I'm watching a stream or something like that, it's like, fuck. I always fuck something up, or something doesn't come across as I was hoping it would, but, what the hell. It's the chat. Who gives a shit? I'll figure it out, one way or the other. This is the most accomplished piece. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Definitely the best. Definitely the best of the 5, I think. This is the one that I can actually listen to all the way through and be totally cool with. Steven says Tangerine Dream proves you don't need a symphony to have a great soundtrack. This isn't all bad in some pieces. Some of it is very good, but I don't see it for Dawn. Yeah, I'm not saying you need like a full orchestra or anything to have a soundtrack, but I think in listening to this piece, I feel like this is kind of what his idea for Dawn's score would be, and especially going into Night Riders and you can kind of get an idea of where Donald Rubinstein's head was at around this time period because of what he eventually did with Night Riders in terms of scoring that film. So that's just I'm just kind of spitballing here and saying like those first 4, like maybe like it would be closer to this as opposed to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I don't know, but it's hard. It's kind of hard to picture, but yeah. Steve says the very end of the last track sounds like it was from Night Gallery. Yeah, it's like that's the big swell of strings there at the end before they go to commercial. The cliffhanger, But yeah, so yeah, that's Donald Rubinstein's Dawn Imagined. Like I said, you can find it on eBay for fairly priced, $10-15. It's worth having if you're a Dawn collector or a Donald Rubinstein fan for sure. But like I said, this brings me. I talked about it earlier, and we're sitting here spitballing about where to use this, and I'm kind of using this as a brainstorming experiment. But over the next few months, I am going to take some of the music that we just listened to from Donald Rubinstein's original score for Dawn of the Dead, and I'm going to cut it into Dawn of the Dead to see if I can make it work somehow in certain scenes. And it's going to be an ongoing series here on the channel of videos called Dawn Reimagined. DR, Donald Rubinstein, Dawn Reimagined. Get it? And it's just an experiment. It's just can I do this? Can I make it palatable in Dawn of the Dead? We shall see. But we're here about 2.5 hours into the show, coming to the end here. So I figure for everybody in here right now watching, I will give you guys a special sample of what I've been working on over the past couple of weeks. Dawn of the Dead, original score by Donald Rubinstein, Dawn Reimagined. This will be dropping the full video of this. This is just part of the scene, but the full scene I'm going to drop probably later this week sometime once I get it just right. I'm still tweaking some of the music and all that. Trying to make it work, trying to see, what would George do here? Like, how would George do this and make this piece of music work for the, So this is the WGON scene. This is the opening of Dawn of the Dead, but instead of the usual library tracks, Goblin, whatever you're used to in the, because the opening is different in the U.S. cut. It's different in the European cut. It's different in the Cannes cut. This is the Donald Rubinstein cut. So here it is, a sneak peek. Let me know what you guys think. Does it work? You be the judge. You be the judge. Here we go.
You all right? Shit's really hitting the fan.
That's a whole different study. But if we knew that, we don't know that. We don't know that. We gotta operate on what we do know.
I'm still dreaming.
I turned for the code.
I tried to explain this to you several times.
The guys in the crew are going crazy. A couple of them have flown the coop already. I don't know how long we're going to stay on the air.
These are human beings. What the hell's our camera? What the hell is our camera to a blind man? Roll the rescue station.
just got a report that half those stations have been knocked out.
Give me another list.
Sure, I'll just pull it out of my ass, right?
I don't believe the dead are returning to life. I'm not so you believe the dead are returning to life and attacking the living.
I'm not so sure what to believe, Doctor. All we get is what you people tell us. And it's hard enough to believe.
It's fact. It's fact.
It's hard enough to believe without you coming in here and
You're not running a talk show here, Mr. Berman. You can forget pitching an audience the moral bullshit they want to hear.
You're talking about abandoning every human
Franny, get the new list of rescue stations Charlie's receiving on the emergency.
Rescue station.
Half of those are inoperative as of now.
Charlie, these are rescue stations. We can't send people to inoperative rescue stations.
We've had old information on the air for the last 12 hours.
Gibbons wants them.
Kill him, Dick. Tell Gibbons to see me.
Responsible public figures like yourself that this situation is being dealt with irresponsibly by the public at large. You have not listened. You have not listened to the situation for 3 weeks. What does it take? What does it take to make people see?
People aren't willing to accept your solutions, Doctor, and I, for one, don't blame them.
Every dead body that is not exterminated becomes one of them. It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
The people it kills get up and kill. What do you guys think? Did that work? I think it kind of works. I think it kind of works a little bit as a full score for that opening thing. Like, it kind of has a little bit of a build up there. It kind of, I don't know, kind of adds just a little bit of the, like, it kind of works for like the franticness of everything that's going on in the TV station there. I don't know. I think that part kind of works. I think that track can kind of work in certain parts. I don't know for the rest of the film. I don't know what we do, but yeah, that's what I've been kind of working on over the past couple weeks. Just out of fucking just pure curiosity of like, how would this work? I don't know. But yeah, so that's going to be like an ongoing series. Like, I did the full scene all the way until the very end, until, you know, our responsibility is finished. And then that'll be dropping later this week. I'll drop that full video. Do a little bit more work, a little more tweaks to it. There's a few things I want to change, you know, a couple of little cues here and there that I want to emphasize and all that. But yeah, I'm a huge nerd. I get off on doing stuff like that. Like, I love editing. Like, I talk about George the Editor all the time, and that's my favorite thing to do, is just to edit shit. Like, I can just zone in on something for hours at a time and just edit away. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Michelle says, thanks for sharing all these with us. Now I'm wiped, and the cat has been patiently waiting for me to turn the lights off, so I'll say goodnight to everyone now. Cheers. Good night, Michelle. Thanks for hanging out. Always good to have you in the chat. And enjoy your time off, your well-deserved time off. And have a good night. Matt says that'll be great. Looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, like I said, over the next few months, I'll be dropping them. Eventually, my plan is to do the whole film and just release the whole film with the fucking Donald Rubinstein score. But I don't know if that's possible or not. I don't know if I can figure out a way to make some of this shit work. But good idea. Artsy craftsy. Yeah, I'm very artsy craftsy when it comes to editing shit. Like, one time, I became such a fan of that show True Detective, that whole first season of True Detective with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey. I took that entire first season and cut it down into a 2.5 hour movie, because I thought, maybe I can make it work as a 2.5 hour movie. And it, it worked. It worked. If you hadn't seen the show, it kind of worked. But again, I just did it over a few weeks and just I just something to do. WWGD, need bracelets in your store. That's not a bad idea. What would George do? That's a good idea. I'd sport one of those. I think people would wonder what the hell that meant, but a nice callback to the '90s too for us millennial kids. And Matt's saying, "Wow, that works so far." Oh yeah, that opening I think worked really well. I worked on that a lot. I was trying to figure out like So if I I extended one part to let it sustain out a little bit, so then when it, Dawn of the Dead pops up on the screen, you get that big swell of the strings, and it's like, oh, now the movie's beginning, and yeah, I think it works. It works pretty well. Like there's a few parts in there that I think I could clean up a little bit, but Rick says, very cool beginning. I must have watched this beginning a jillion times. Not a million, but a jillion times. Yeah, I've seen that. It kind of makes it easy. Like Dawn of the Dead's the easiest thing that I can kind of edit to, and because I know where all the cues are, and I know like this is going to happen here, so this needs to be here, and since it's nice, but it lacks the building energy of what's to come. I don't know if it lacks the energy of building what's. It kind of builds. It kind of builds throughout the whole scene. Once you see the whole scene, it does kind of build up to a crescendo ending. But yeah, I mean, I get it with I love the slow, the do, as, in the original version. That definitely works better, but yeah, I think it's, I think it kind of works a little bit. Jin says, this is awesome. Of course, nothing beats the original, but I would actually watch the entire movie from a new perspective. Yeah, that's exactly like I was saying earlier. Like, I'm always looking for new ways to watch Dawn of the Dead. 3D, fucking edited for TV. And if there's a way that I can kind of just do something so I can experience it because I want to, I'll usually find a way to do it. But appreciate that, man. Steven says, very nice work, Alpha, and in no way is this a shot at your work, but it doesn't work. Not as powerful as the original. Sadly, I'd even go with no music like in the extended cut before this. Okay. No offense taken. No offense. I didn't compose the fucking music. I'm just trying to cut it into the movie to see how it works and what kind of feel that a score by Donald Rubinstein would give to Dawn of the Dead. Like I said, just out of pure curiosity. And I think of all the tracks, like I said, that one works because it's the most fleshed out. It's, it's most cinematic sounding. D-Sun said, I liked it, but I'm kind of agreeing with others. Doesn't evoke the same anxiety as the library tracks and the Goblin Heartbeat / elements. I agree with that. I agree with that. Either way, good job. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jeff says, I dig it. Looking forward to more. Very creative. Yeah. Like I said, it's a total passion project. Not a passion project, but a what's the word for it? Labor of love, I guess. And just because, like I said, I was just curious to see what it would sound like in the actual film and if it actually worked. Yeah, stay tuned, my man. Stay tuned. I'm gonna see what I can do with those first 4 tracks. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it'll be interesting if nothing else. Steven says, good luck with this endeavor. We'll be curious to see if you can pull it off. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm gonna try. I don't know if pulling it off is what I'm going for as much as just like morbid curiosity. It would be more of a word for it. It's like, well, how would this sound here? Could this work here? It's Stezio saying, nicely done. Saying goodnight to everyone. See y'all next time. Stezio, always a pleasure, man. Always good to have you in here. Hope you have a good rest of the night, my man. But yeah, so that's it. That's Donald Rubinstein's Dawn Imagine. Could you imagine Dawn of the Dead with the soundtrack by Donald Rubinstein, the great Donald Rubinstein? Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting if nothing else, but I think we can all agree that the best piece of music we heard all night, coming to you with a bullet, headed straight to the top, the next big hit in the United States, Eugene Clark, I Love You, number 3. Let's go out with this. Let's go out with a bang.
Thinking about you makes my wallet go.
Come on, Matt. Just listen to these lyrics.
Show always, or so they say.
He's singing about his true love.
Cash always. Tell me exactly what you want. I'll charge you 5 times more than everyone. Don't you know I want the most, the moolah? Oh, baby, it hurts me to tax your ass. I love cash. I want cash. I need cash near me, baby. Do you want me? Do you love me? Do you need me near you, baby? When the
That's
rain
right.
starts
That's right, baby.
down,
You need that autograph. You need that signature. You need that Land of the Dead poster signed.
lift your spirits off the ground.
You better come with that cash, because he loves cash. He wants cash. He needs cash, baby. Again, shout out to my boy CK over at Dead Pit. He surprised me with that motherfucker on MWO podcast, and I fucking lost my shit. But yes. Yes, we all love cash, but nobody loves cash the way Eugene loves cash. The way Big Daddy loves that cash, baby. Matt said, wait, is this real? No, this isn't real. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Yeah, I think it was used with AI. It's like an AI program that CK uses for things. It's pretty brilliant, though. It's pretty brilliant. Pretty fucking spot on, I gotta say. Since then, one thing you can guarantee, no copyright claim for this track. No, probably not. Probably not. Even if it was actually Eugene Clark, I doubt he has, which I'm trying to think. I did a whole, one of my first videos I ever did on here was going through and listening and reviewing, I Love You, I think is the name of the album, the Eugene Clark album. And I don't remember getting copyright or anything on that, so yeah, I doubt he has that. Yeah, he wants a lot of cash anywhere he goes. Steven says, craziest musician I'd like to see what their version of Dawn soundtrack would be James Brown. I don't know if you ever saw Black Caesar, but he did, and the soundtrack's awesome for it. I haven't. I'll have to check that out, actually. That's pretty awesome. James Brown soundtrack. Black Caesar. I'll have to check that out. And Steven says you could also play I Want to Be Rich by Calloway. Yeah. You can't fault the guy, man. He's trying to make the money while he can. Like I said, when I met and got Eugene's signature, it was probably $20 or something like that. But like I said, he's figured out the game at this point. Like, no. Gotta have that cash, baby. Gotta have that cash. But alright, guys. About 2.5 hours into this sucker tonight. Glad to be back. Missed you guys last weekend. Look forward to what's to come. Like I said, watch along Midnight 2. Watch along coming soon. Don't know when, but keep an eye out for that. With my boy Synth, we're going to watch this John Russo masterpiece and discuss it at some point. Hopefully within the next week or so. I will be MIA again next weekend. I'm going off to the mountains and disappearing for a few days. So yeah, I will not be next weekend. There will not be a stream next weekend, but the following weekend, September 6th, and I got this confirmed. I will have him on the show. It'll be a really fun conversation to have. Looking forward to it. I'm going to have George Dimick on to talk a little Romero. And for those of you guys that are not familiar with George Dimick was George's understudy on Knight Riders. He was a friend of George back in the day. He was a zombie in Day of the Dead. He's a filmmaker. He's been making films. I was actually trying to get him on the Knight Riders commentary that we did a couple of weeks ago, and he wasn't available. He was out shooting that weekend. So talked to him about his films, what he's working on, and just kind of get to know him because he's a guy that I wasn't too familiar with. Like I knew he was a zombie in Day, and I knew the name George Dimick, and he's, usually always at Living Dead weekend. He's one of those guys that was always hanging out in the outside the DoubleTree and just hanging out with everybody and just talking and having a good time. And I remember I think I've spoken to him maybe a couple of times just out there, just just a passing like, hey, what's up, good to see you type of thing. But I actually, just hearing him on Brandon Salisbury's documentary, the Resident Evil, George A. Romero's Resident Evil documentary, hearing his interviews on that, like, was really like, wow, that was probably like some of my favorite stuff about that documentary. It was like probably my favorite part of that documentary was hearing George talk about his memories and his thoughts on George. So been in contact with him. Gonna have him on the show here in a couple of weeks, talking a little Romero with Mr. George Dimick. I'm really looking forward to that and getting to know him a little better. So if you guys have questions, comments for him, make sure you're here. Throw them in the chat, and I'll try to get to all or as many as I can. But it'll be cool to hear some of his recollections and his memories of working with George back in the day. So definitely looking forward to that. Good night, Seth. Let me know when you want to do the commentary or the watch along, and we'll definitely set it up and get it done, my man. Looking forward to that. D-Sun, good night, man. Glad to have you in here. Good to see you. Jeff says, have a great week, everyone. Until next time, try and enjoy the daylight. I like that. Enjoy the daylight. Absolutely. Because, I mean, summer's coming to an end, and that daylight's going to slowly disappear as the winter months come upon us. So, Matt says, good night. Let me know if you're serious about the Bruiser commentary. Hey, hey, dude, Matt, if you're serious and you want to do a Bruiser commentary, I will definitely do a Bruiser commentary with you. I'm going to educate your ass. I'm going to tell you why Peter Stormare's performance is one of the best performances in any Romero film, period. I don't care. I don't care what you say. But yeah, man, anytime. We'll definitely get that set up. We'll definitely do that soon. Rick, always good to see you in here, and always a pleasure saying your name. Have a good time in the mountains, man. Yeah, heading to the mountains next weekend, taking the family to Gatlinburg. We're gonna hang out in the mountains for a few days and just kind of get away and have one last vacation, just us three before baby Claire shows up. So that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. But like I said, keep an eye out. We'll do a watch along at some point this week with Synth for Midnight 2, and I have something planned coming out. The Dawn Reimagined video, I'm going to have that full scene released sometime this week, as well as next weekend. I might, if I can swing it, if I can make it happen, I have something pretty cool to release as well. So keep an eye out for all that. I'm working at it. Don't worry about that. Bonnie, good night. Always a pleasure seeing you in here. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a great week ahead. Matt said it's going to be a great show. Can't wait to hear what George has to say. Looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. Like I said, and I'm not much of an interviewer. I'm just gonna. It's like I don't want to try to be an interviewer, but I do want to get to know him a little better. I want to kind of pick his brain and hear some of his stories and just get his thoughts and hear about his work. And I love talking about filmmaking and talking about films. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really fun show. So I'm really looking forward to that. Robert, Night 90, Robert, what's going on, brother? Better late than never, I guess. Yay, you're about two and a half hours late, but go back and check it out. Some great music, some great Donald Rubinstein, Dawn of the Dead score, some what ifs going on here, as well as Eugene Clark's newest hit single. So you definitely need to check it out. Good night, Steven. Always good to see you, my man. Thanks for that. Safe trip. I appreciate it. And we're saying good night to all. Matt's saying we'll do it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Matt's saying, oh, come on, you're a great interview. Well, I mean, I don't want it to be an interview because I hate fucking interviews because it's like, oh, let me just ask you these questions and not, I would rather it just be a conversation. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah, the rogue mountain zombies. Yeah, I got an eye out. I'll be fine. I'll survive. But everybody check out shop.offromero.store. Dropped a couple of new designs today. With it being football season. And my fantasy football team name this year is the Winners. Dropped a couple of designs today in the Alfa Romero store, so check those out. So shop.offromero.store. Make sure you're liking the videos, guys. I appreciate it. It helps everything. Helps it get it out there, and it makes me feel special. It makes me feel nice when I see a lot of thumbs up on my shit. It's like, oh, people like what I do. It's kind of cute. It's like, it's nice, yeah. So yeah, thumbs up. Subscribe if you're watching for the first time. If you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. And And yeah, I think that's it. I don't have anything else to hawk. Appreciate everybody in the chat as always. You guys are awesome. It's always great to get back on here, especially after I miss a weekend. It's just like feels like I haven't done this one for fucking ever, but you guys make it worth it. So appreciate all you guys again, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully for the Midnight 2 watch along with Synth sometime this week. So we'll figure that out and we'll get it done. But until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay prepared, but always stay scared.